What is going on, everybody? Oh, I don't have my camera on this scene. Fuck it. I wanted to celebrate Skelly raiding in, but it didn't work out. How's everybody doing tonight? What's up, you guys? What's up, Hyperion? What's up, Raiders? What's up, Skelly? What's up, people? I was hanging out with you guys before stream. That was chill. The new Pokemon Snap is hilarious. We there were those Sims in the background. Hold on. It was it's like a stadium audience, I guess. It's just like a 3D asset that I found that looks hilariously derpy. So I was like, why the fuck not, you know? But my camera's not on the scene, so that gets kind of ruined, you know? I wonder what happened to my camera. Anyways, hello everybody. We are back for another day. We are here. We're alive. It's happening. Like the low settings on Fortnite. I have never played Fortnite. So you're in a realm of knowledge there that I have no access to. Thankfully. The wacky waving, yeah, I know. I was basically just going through one of the stock assets things that I have access to and just seeing what like the funniest shit was. And that was one of them. Same with the dancing hairy men. It was just like so weird. I had to put it in there essentially. But yes, it is Chudnalysis. We're back for another week. I think we didn't do last week. So I think the last stream we did for Chudnalysis was when we did demonic possession. I could be wrong, but I can't think of a week in between those two. So we're kind of continuing on with a similar theme today. I thought we would take a look into the world of psychics, and not just like people doing tarot readings, like people who literally claim they can speak to the dead. So we're looking into mediums, channelers, what I'm calling Vibro-Chuds. I kind of just came up with that name when I was making the announcement for the stream, and I was like, well, that's a pretty good one. But yeah, people who claim they can contact the dead for others. And I have a few talking points that I've written up about this. I'll probably walk through those before we start, but that's the plan. But first, just want to say hello, everybody. Hope you guys had a chill day. I just went to work and came back home. I figured out that I can edit my my YouTube videos at work, which is sick. Like, I just didn't think my computer at work had the processing power necessary, but I tried it and it was fine. So now I get to edit my content while I'm working before I come home to stream, which is like ideal, because then on days that I don't stream, instead of editing, I'll just be able to take a night off, which is sweet, dude. Yo, what's up, AOL? It's such a time saver. I've been editing some YouTube videos. You know what? I'm gonna share a private link with you guys, okay? You guys are the privileged few who came through to the stream. I'm gonna share with you guys a private link over here. But I'll give you a little teaser of the YouTube content that's coming down the line, but I didn't publish it yet. It's up on my channel though. Hold on. Let's see. Feel free to watch this and give me feedback, but this will give you an idea of what we're looking at. Actually, I'll just show you a little taste right now. I didn't even think about this. We're streaming. Why don't I just show you guys what I'm doing? Jesus Christ. Like, sometimes it's like a no-brainer, but it's like I'm so fried that it takes a brainer, you know? Here's the digs. I'll give you guys like the first couple seconds. This is from the Darman stuff we did on Reactor Day like a couple weeks back. One of the things that I was seeing, oh, this is so weird. Oh, this is so weird. Streamception, dude. What the fuck? When I was looking through the trends, was this channel called Darman. I've never heard of it. And I was just looking at all the thumbnails and just today we react to a streamer called Palinoptic. He's doing his thing on Twitch. A little bit of a weird channel. I don't quite know exactly what they do. He uses the word chud a lot. Seems like they're like these sketches. So I pulled up the rich athlete shames poor athlete. Anyways, this is it. It's just like a highlight reel of what we went through, essentially. Gamers take their best shots and put it up. I take the conversations we have and boil them down. But that's the YouTube stuff. Right now I'm editing the Bob Larson video. You guys saw the thumbnail to that. I posted that in the Discord the other day. Oh no, preview of what's to come. I spoiled the stream. Ignore that. It didn't happen. That's why you'll see me scream. I don't want to hear myself before I raid. Oh, I'm fine listening to my own voice. Like, I think I've had too many years of doing that, because back when I was in college, one of my ways of kind of documenting that time in my life was just to record it. So I didn't have like a camera. I just had like a digital recorder I would take everywhere. And when I would hang out with people, I would just like drop it next to my bag so it could just like record the night. I got really used to hearing my voice that way. I think it was weirder to see myself on camera. That was the big thing, like watching myself talk and being like, that is not what I thought I looked like when words came out of my mouth. But I got used to that with Zoom and stuff. It wasn't just COVID. Like, I had done this through teaching online for like 3 or 4 years. So I kind of got used to my face at that point and literally staring at myself as I'm talking. So it was like immersion therapy. You know what I mean? Just like get used to what you fucking look like to other people therapy. So yeah, editing my own shit is not a problem, thankfully. I know some people don't like it. I know some people will have a really tough time doing that, and I empathize. I just kind of lucked out in that regard. It's more or less like I see my face, I'm just kind of like, okay, I don't really like it that much, but there isn't anything I can really do about it. So I'm just gonna deal with it. You know what I mean? It sucks, but it's there. So that's kind of the personal update. I got a lot more time to edit. I am trying to get the YouTube channel up and running just so that there's a few reasons. I think number one is so that it's easier to have people find out what we do here. Like if they find it on YouTube and it's like a 20-minute segment, I feel like they might be interested in hanging out on a stream or just checking out more in general. And also it serves as like a permanent archive of what we've done. Like, you know, just a record of the things that happen here as opposed to just them happening live and then not existing anywhere else. Because Twitch deletes VODs after 2 months. So with the main channel and with the VOD channel, I'm just trying to create a record of what we do here, basically. And a way for people to kind of encounter it organically as they surf online, you know? Because especially since we do a lot of viral React content, it kind of traffics itself in the right places. You know, people who are going to be searching for those other videos will get recommended reactions. And they won't get recommended mine right away because no one knows us. But eventually, hopefully they will. So that's my plan. But let's talk about tonight. So I'm going to put on this track. This is, I have no fucking idea what this guy's work is. Istvan Sky, avatar voice channeling. He just seems like he's very, I guess we would say, awakened. I'm gonna put this on while I talk about what we're gonna do. I watched this and I thought it was gonna go somewhere, you know, but it's basically just chanting and meditative music for, you know, 7 minutes, which it's like, it's fine, whatever, but it definitely couches what we're doing tonight well. If we do this voice channeling, do we bend all the elements? Doesn't it kind of feel like that? Yeah. I love that they have like special markers to like put these patterns on them, you know, so that they don't have to do too much work with the brush. Anyways, tonight we are going to be talking about channelers, mediums, and what I'm now calling Vibro-Chuds. People who channel spiritual beings or dead people, either at the behest of others or as a service to humanity, as you'll find some believe they are actually a service to humanity. Now, my problem with these people, the reason that I think it's worthwhile to talk about, is because it's really similar to what we were dealing with the demonic possession crowd. It's really similar to what we were dealing with the Bob Larson crowd, where they prey on people's vulnerability, right? There's people who are desperate for help. There's people who are seeking help. There's people who want to get through something, get some closure on something, work through a trauma, and they find these people out there who say, I can tell you, I can give you that closure. I can tell you what's going on. I can settle this for you. And these people who are so desperate for that closure, or that unattainable certainty, will start to place their faith in these people, despite the fact that there really is no evidence to suggest that any of this is true or really happening. And in fact, if we look at the evidence, it would suggest the opposite is happening. It would suggest that nothing spiritual or otherworldly is in fact happening, and it's all incredibly within the realm of explainability, right? So we can talk more as the night goes on about what I think is the cause of this sort of thinking, why I think people seek it out, why I think these guys arrive at this, like the people who are in this position, like this motherfucker over here, who are just like so self-deluded into their own fucking, their own conclusions that they've drawn on these things, that they can't see that these aren't actual universal truths, right? The didgeridoo is hitting. People just taking advantage of people in their emotional lows is a great way to kind of summarize that, Hyperion. I completely agree. You've watched videos about how spirit mediums work and it's just psychology. Right. For the people who claim to have these powers, I think that firstly, the claim is specifically unknowable. Like the claim to the spiritual powers, they, within like defining those powers, will say that you can't detect them through scientific means, and that they manifest themselves uniquely in a way where like they elude capture. They're usefully elusive, right? They're usefully elusive in the sense that if you doubt it, well, that's just you noticing the elusive nature of the ability to measure these things, right? And they'll always say that there's like, the first thing that they'll say to get people to believe in this stuff is that there's certain things that we can't know, right? They'll be like, oh, well, there's an unknowable aspect to life and existence that we just can't have knowledge of through our earthly perspective. That's the first thing they'll say. But then they'll move to, well, because of this, there clearly is a spiritual realm or energies that science can't measure. They'll move into some other conclusion that's like, okay, well, clearly because we don't know, then it shows that there's other things out there because we don't know. So there must also be these other things, right? It's this weird certainty that they draw that like we can't question because the skepticism is embedded in their own definition of it, right? Or like the skepticism is answered in their own definition of it. It's the same as people who claim to hear God's voice, right? You'll hear Christians who claim to hear God's voice or experience God's love, but they can never describe it in a way that is compelling or even consistent amongst the people who claim that, right? And the problem with that is they will make this hard claim that they're experiencing something that like gives them certainty of this knowledge, but when tested and when asked to really provide some kind of explanation and understanding around it, they will just defer to special knowledge that they've obtained or experience to confirm that to confirm that their belief is valid, right? Something that I, as an outside observer, can't have access to. And they will claim that doubters, people who are skeptics, they'll claim that those skeptics can't experience it. They can't hear God's voice or experience God's love because they lack a belief, right? So because they don't believe, they don't hear it. So literally what they end up moving to is start believing it and you'll see. And that's where we get motherfuckers like this, who have just bought into these ideas so hardcore that he thinks that he's an ascendant light being, like providing love and happiness to all of humanity, right? It moves from being a useful metaphor that helps you try to work through your traumas and moves into thinking that you have access to dimensions that are beyond like our knowledge and access and, you know, tangibility and everything, right? So that's one of my main problems with this, is that there's no way to really criticize a belief in this, because they try to say, okay, well, this kind of stuff escapes science, it escapes metrics, it escapes quantification, and is all about perception and personal experience. And until you know it, you can't know it, right? And until you submit to it, you can't experience it. So it becomes impossible to criticize these people who believe in this, because they think that their beliefs are self-contained and consistent, and that they are and that they necessarily follow from each other, right? Does that make any sense? What do you guys think about that? That's kind of my big problem here. You remember back in the mid-2010s, people being obsessed with opening their third eye, and I was over here just like trying not to judge. Yeah, the claim that like fluoride shuts down your pineal gland. And I've had, by the way, these thoughts before. I've participated in this sort of dialogue of thinking about consciousness, of being like, well, there's limits to our knowledge, and therefore there's probably energies science can't capture. I've participated in that. And in my opinion, it starts with recognizing that we really can't have knowledge of death or knowledge of certain things in the material world, right? Based on the way that our brains just, based on the fact that our brains go off of perceptions and there's things outside of our perceptions, right? It'll start with like, well, our eyes only see a certain amount of the light spectrum, so therefore there must be a lot of things we can't see, and those other things probably can affect and impact our world, right? So it takes this questioning of the unknown and it turns it into like a hope of something greater. And people who are in this belief are going to start to look for evidence that that thing is true, that whatever conclusion they've come to about the nature of reality is true. So they're going to look for any piece of evidence in their lives that can explain that, or can substantiate that belief, right? Which leads to privileging small examples and coincidences as empirical proof, right? So they'll be like, isn't it weird that she was thinking this and then he said it? That proves that our minds have energy fields that go between us, right? They'll take really, really small examples and ignore a plethora of examples that disprove that ideology and just verify their thinking, right? Anyways, that's my main issues with what's going on here. And again, I think taken as a metaphor, if you think about spirituality in the sense of trying to improve your mental state, trying to make yourself more conscious, more aware, more mindful, I think that's awesome. I think that everybody should do that. Make yourself aware of your habits, your routines, your ways of thinking, how your brain works when you're not conscious of it, right? That kind of stuff, I really, really think people need to hear more of, right? The problem is when spiritual metaphors get taken as a fact, then people start thinking that they're talking to ascended light beings, right? Like, that's the problem. You can think of it as something that's going to help yourself, and that's fine. Take it that way. But when you literally start thinking you're talking to ascended light beings who are timeless, like, you've taken a step towards insanity. You've taken a step away from that self-improving sense and you've moved into self-delusion, right? It brings people a false sense of comfort too, right? It's just, yeah. It's very concerning to see how many people truly place a belief in this. And it really reminds me of the demonic possession and how we were like, this feels like some Dark Ages shit, you know? Spirituality and religion can be good for coping in a fine community that can bring social supports, but there can be people who take it too far. Right. And tonight, we are going to look at several examples of people who take it too far. I wanted to sort of front load all of that because I feel that there's a lot of people who place stake in these beliefs. So I just wanted to kind of settle where I'm at with it first. And I suppose if people come in later, I might clarify some of these points again. But I think it's important just so that it doesn't come across like, okay, like, I think that all of these things are harmful. No, I just think there's a harmful interpretation, and it comes down to people not being media literate and taking metaphors as like actual facts, you know, and profiting off of other people's discomfort. Like, there's so many problematic aspects of this, right? So that's the lens we're going to be looking at this through. First up, we've got this psychic channels spirits through his body. I don't know who the fuck this is, but this dude seems pretty wealthy. There's a few of these guys who have kind of made a reputation for themselves and do sort of a media circuit. So he's one of these dudes. I watched like the first 10 seconds of this and was like, this is one of the like only things we're watching today that was filmed in 1080p. So we're doing it. You're just reminded of Gwyneth Paltrow's company Goop. Yo. Yes. Are you talking about the vagina eggs? Yes. I was thinking about that so much. I was like, this all just reminds me of the vagina eggs, the jade eggs that you shove up your fucking yanni so that you can cleanse your soul. Like, dude, it's so nuts. And why don't they make a phallus version of that? You know, something to slide your phallus into to cleanse your soul. Not just that, but the stuff they show on Netflix show she somehow got. Oh God, I did not know that she had a Netflix show. Yeah, I agree. It really feels like that, dude. It does. Her TV, the Goop Lab, that just sounds so good. That sounds so good. The Goop Lab, where they make the vagina eggs for spiritual cleansing and detox. Oh, man. All right, let's see what this shit's all about.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm ready to go.
So one of the things that I find entertaining about this is that there's so many inconsistencies. Like, they'll each have a different way they experience it. And you're going to see this. They claim that that's part of it, that everyone manifests these spirits differently. But what's so funny about it is you'll see that this dude literally puts on a voice where other people just speak normally, or some of them will like contort their faces as they talk like this, as if like the spirit is like giving them so much energy they can't control their face anymore. It's hilarious to hear him just like do some like straight up stereotypical Native American accent, be like, yes, hello, I am ready, go. This is big heap fun. Like, what the fuck is this? It's so fucked, dude. Just to like make some cash. And also, it's Skelly. That is a delightful feature for those headphones, to be honest.
My name is Sky, and I live in Los Angeles, California, where there is no shortage of gurus, healers, psychics, and all sorts of practitioners of various spiritual modalities. Here
Okay.
on my channel, Skylife, I love exploring metaphysical and spiritual topics, and I try to approach everything with both an open mind and a healthy amount of skepticism.
I hate that misuse of metaphysics. It's just because I'm a philosophy person, but like, their idea of what metaphysics is, their idea of metaphysics is like magic physics. They think that that's what that means. Like physics, but like, you know, beyond physics. Like, they don't really fucking understand what it means at all. If ghosts are real and I ever become one and someone calls me, I'm gonna troll them. Dude, please do. That's the thing. We need We need like we need that kind of presence in the ghost world. It's way too serious out there. Ghosts don't have a sense of humor, man. They're so sad about their fucking deaths.
One of my friends told me I needed to meet this guy named Riz, a trans-channel psychic medium. Trans-channeling is the practice of entering into an altered state in order to channel various spirit guides.
You're gonna hear a lot of terms that they use that are jargon, but they don't define. Like, oh fuck, what did she just say? Altered state, right? The word altered state, or the phrase altered state. You think you know what that means. I think I know what that means, but they don't define it. And the usefulness of that is that whatever you think that means, that's what it means. There's just no, like, they don't have to, like, adhere to anything. It's like, oh, that's what you think it is? That's what it is. You got it. Good job.
Who will temporarily inhabit the physical body of the channeler to share important information and spiritual wisdom. Channeling has become more well known in the past decade, with people such as Esther Hicks, the channel for Abraham Hicks, increasing in
Oh, this is a little quiet. I'm sorry. I'm going to turn it up.
popularity. So when I had the opportunity to meet with Riz one-on-one and to witness him channel, I was super excited to see what this was all about.
I think it's kind of ironic that it's always people who like look the part of spiritual channeler, you know, or spirit channeler, right? Like this dude, like if you had any doubt about what he did, like you just gotta like take one look at his house and him, and you'll be like, oh, got it. Yeah, no, you're either a spiritual person or you're a witchcraft person.
I was super excited to see what this was all about.
Here we are, the Riz Manor in Malibu.
Hey.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Oh, he's saging the house. Well, good move. You're bringing in outside agents, so you wanna cleanse that energy. That's one of those things, man. I love the smell of sage. The idea that it cleanses is like based on what? Based on what? Based on ancient wisdom, based on the fact that cultures have done it, based on selective evidence that good things happened after you did it. Like, Jesus.
You?
Welcome.
Oh my gosh, you already got the sage going.
Hey, we got to make sure everybody is feeling really good and clean. So
That
come
is
on in.
To be honest, if he didn't get the sage going, it's like he's not doing his job. It's like that's the one thing he has to do is just know when to break out the sage.
Largest piece of sage I have seen. The lion statues. Riz, you are...
I mean, of course, it's the largest piece of sage you've ever seen. He's a spiritual healer. He would need to have a large piece of sage based on something someone once said maybe at some time.
The lion.
I'm like a provider, protector. You know, I ask people to just stand here when I say...
I will say again, just for anybody out there who feels like I'm just straight up shitting on spirituality, I think there's useful stuff in there. I don't think believing that you have the ability to fucking molest spirits is one of those useful things. I think that that is really fucked because this money that he's getting is coming from people who place faith in that belief, right? It's not that they're gaining anything out of it. He's just preying upon their vulnerability, right?
Not because they have any negative energy
Gets his sage from the mountains of his ascension.
on them, but this is kind of a welcoming. This is like a little shower for the aura.
I feel very
And a little
blessed.
for everybody out there. Just breathe it in.
Hello, Takun or Takwin. Hello.
Yes, Vibe Tribe, breathe in the sage.
Vibe Tribe. Yo, I love the idea of, like, I don't know what spiritual people mean when they say vibration. It seems to mean so many different things. Like, they have their own vibration. The earth has a vibration, yet there's a universal vibration. All these vibrations resonate in frequency with each other, and they can rise and lower. It's so mind-numbingly stupid. That's why I put Vibro-Chud in the title, is just because I feel like whenever we go into this stuff, we're going to hear somebody talk about vibrations. Shower for the aura, yeah. That's the oddest thing you've heard. Shower for the aura. You wasn't sure you need to clean my aura. Yeah, how can an aura get dirty? Like, what spiritual detritus does it accumulate? I assume that's what crystals were for, not sage. No, they're all for the same thing. It's all for healing, right? It's all for healing, and its usefulness is always down to whatever like they want it to do in that moment. If you've ever looked at some of the healing properties of these things, it will say everything. It'll be like, it relieves like, hypertension. It relieves stress. It's a mood elevator. Like they just like give you the most broad benefits possible so that when you look at one thing versus another, you're basically unable to be like, why would I specifically use this or this? And then you go to like some Reiki master or some shit, and they'll be like, oh, well, you use the rose quartz when it's like love, because like love is like pink and like hearts are like pink, like the ones we draw, not our biological hearts, but like love is pink, so we use rose quartz. But if you're like dealing with like, I don't know, something like, I don't know, you're on the beach, you want to have like, sapphire, because like it's blue, or maybe lapis lazuli, because like the blue will resonate with the blue and the vibe will rise. That's like literally what they do. But when you look at those things on their own, it's like, these do everything. And like, there's no hard claims at all. Yeah, we're channeling our chakras. Precisely, Connor. You got it.
All right, come in and just take your shoes off.
Okay. Are you barefoot all the time or what?
I am, at least inside the house.
Right.
I am, because I have to stay connected to the Earth's vibration and let it resonate through my body. God forbid I let my connection to the Earth go at any moment.
Just like shoes bring in the energy of outside. And so we want to keep the energy in here pristine.
Wait, that's why he does it? Okay, this is weird to me, because these people will always talk about how we're interconnected, but then they'll say that. They'll say something like that, well, we're keeping this like a spiritual, we're keeping this like spiritually immaculate and insulated from the outside world. It's like, wait, but we're all interconnected. What are you talking about? Yeah, doesn't opening the door let the energy in? Like, how does he, it's just, this is what I mean by it's useful. It's only deployed when it's useful, right? Like they don't know how to like call their own beliefs into question, or like just like stop themselves from saying something that's just like a weird, not necessarily true contradiction, but like an implied contradiction or an inherent contradiction, Those salt rock lamps are sick. I think they look cool, yeah. I think we're gonna watch one channel that has like 5 of them in the background. I was cracking up when I found it.
It is very pristine in here.
That's my great Uncle Merlin. In all my past.
The problem is I can't tell if he's joking. Like, I wish I knew if he was joking. I want to be laughing with him, but he's laughing and it's making me concerned for him,
Past lives and my future lives, this would be the ultimate uncle to have. I channel Merlin by.
This is like an observation that's been around for a long time, but I love whenever you have the conversation of past lives with people. They're like, yeah, I was a king and I had my own empire. So I was pretty cool 6 generations ago. Like, it's always some crazy ass shit. They're never just like, yeah, I've been a peasant and a serf for my entire lineage, Too much spiritual energy. Can you OD on crystals is a great question, dude. I bet some Wiccan would say yes. Like, yeah, you can have too many crystals. But then you look at their fucking house. So you're Merlin's nephew, but also a Native American. No, Skelly, don't mistake. First of all, Riz is an otherworldly ascendant being, okay? Get it right. Put some respect on his name. Dude has transcended, okay? He's experiencing dimensions that you didn't even fathom could exist, okay? First of all. Second of all, he was channeling a spirit. So it wasn't him speaking, it was the spirit speaking, you silly, silly mind. And third, he's not of this world, so he can't have a worldly lineage. So misunderstood, Skelly. Do you rub them on you? In Reiki, you do. Yeah, you rub them on your chakra spots. You put them on chakra spots and the colors respond. And oh my God, let's keep going.
By the way, a lot of people think that Merlin is this figure in literature that doesn't exist, that he's part of some story that someone made up. See,
No, but Merlin was real. He's an ascendant master. He's part of the Circle of Nine. He's a Pleiadian, and he's my uncle.
Merlin is a spirit guide who exists, who then channeled his information into the minds of those who wrote about it.
His information. I'm just going to point out all the vague jargon that they use that goes literally unquestioned. Nobody listens to this who believes in this stuff and goes, what do you mean by information? It's like just implied, and they just move the fuck on.
About him. So that's why that iconic figure of the wizard is so powerful and started with Merlin, and it passed through different writers and different cultures. There's another spirit guide that I channel right there. That's Red Eagle. You know, Red Eagle, when he speaks through me, my voice changes because he's basically using my body like a musician would use a guitar's body. You want to see my office?
Yeah, let's go.
Which literally other people will claim is not how it works. Like, you will see somebody else claim like that they don't use different voice because they're using your vocal cords. Like, but this motherfucker uses that same argument. How do you play somebody else's vocal cords to sound like your own? That's so dumb. They're physical. Like, they have limitations, okay? I'm sure there was somebody inspired by the idea of Merlin, probably just used normal shit called magic because nobody understood it. Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of people throughout the entire history of the world who've claimed to be magic men and prophets, you know? But the difference is, like, believing that they were truly ascendant masters who could turn lead into gold. Like, that's the big difference here, right?
Let's go. Welcome, Sky.
Whoa! This is so cool. I feel like I just entered into another.
It's funny too, it's like an alternate form of consumerism. They'll be like, dude, I'm so beyond material things. I'm so beyond like the physical realm. I could live with whatever. I could live anywhere, however. And then this is the shit that they have. This is worse than like some fucking video game nerd. Like, this is worse than like some of the shit that you see on like streamer houses or like YouTube collections. Like people who like do video game channels on YouTube who have like massive collections of like, you know, Funko Pop toys and shit like that, or like anime figurines, or like my fucking background, right? Like, this is all digital, right? But this is literally, this is the equivalent. Like, I made this as like a tribute to my media diet and like to just cement myself in like cement my position in the participation of hyperreality, right? And of this and of spectacle culture, right? Like, that's what this is. It's like an ode to consumerism, an ode to like this world that I was born into that I had no control over, but that I had to seek meaning through, right? And they do the same exact thing, but they do it with wizards and dragons and birds and eggs and pine cones and crystals. And that is somehow beyond materialism. Like, fucking dumbasses, dude.
I feel like I just entered into another dimension.
You have.
This is a portal. So, for people who
That just, the way that she got excited there also reminds me of how much they want this to happen. Like, how much they want these beliefs to be confirmed, you know? Yeah, it's a room, exactly. Thank you, Connor. Yeah, the Ben Shabino poster. I've got Ben Shabino, and then I made a couple others too that are in the Chudnalysis like intro segment that I haven't used yet. But yeah, you'll see them.
who have no clue, how would you describe trance channeling?
So trance channeling to me is an inner technology. So I'm able to go into a deep trance state. So my consciousness is in another state. I recently had...
That doesn't mean anything. Like, just because it's in an altered state or another state doesn't mean it has access to anything that's beyond this world.
A neurologist attached diodes to my head, and I trance channeled in that state. What he found was that within 20 seconds, I was able to go into a state that I should only be in that state after 4 hours of sleep. So he took that data And he said, well, first I would think this person has narcolepsy. He goes, but the problem here is you were actually channeling and speaking during that brainwave state. Very conscious, very wise thoughts, right? The spirit guides speak all this wisdom that comes through. One of the main spirit guides that I channel, his name is Red Eagle.
Wait, okay. So he's just going to move on from that, but none of that proves anything. The neurologist wasn't sitting there like, yeah, and this proves that you channeled otherworldly spirits. Like, that's the thing you have to prove. Not that you can put your brain into an altered state. That's not what you have to prove, because proving that your brain goes into an altered state doesn't prove that you then also can channel spirits. This is the dumbass logic that these people operate under. They hear that he can do something that puzzles scientists, and they go, wow, that must mean that he's doing something otherworldly, or he's doing something with the spirit world, or he's accessing the knowledge of light beings. Like, how do those two things follow in their mind? The burden of proof right now is for him to show us that that altered state means that he can channel spirits. So far, he's only showed us that he has the ability to go into an altered state. That's it. Don't draw too many conclusions from that. Like, God, dude. Your Twitch is freaking out. You can only see chat through the little degenerate AI. Oh, that's pretty funny. I wonder why. I feel like we have so much to learn about the human brain and what it can do that it doesn't prove any. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't say shit, but beyond he can do something that scientists did not expect him to be able to do. That is the only thing that we can say for sure from that, right? Anyways, let's move on.
Spirit guides speak all this wisdom that comes through. One of the main spirit guides that I channel, his name is Red Eagle, and he had many lifetimes, but one of the lifetimes that he had was as a chief named Red Eagle about a century ago.
How did you discover that Red Eagle wanted to come through you?
I was doing psychic readings for about a year, and I would notice that after the client left, I would still feel a presence in the room. Now, I used to think that it was their spirit guide. And then one day I was doing an exercise called automatic writing. It's where you really relax your mind and let your hand just write whatever comes to you. And I had written probably 10 to 20 pages of random words.
I think there's also something sort of, let me think of how to say this. There's an emphasis on turning your mind off. And I think that that's also saying turn off your faculty to question what's happening. And they use that to say that questioning is going to stop you from experiencing it. It's very similar. It's weird, the more we look at it, how similar this is to people believing in demonic possession, because the church in that instance would say, they would say, don't question the teachings so that you can find salvation. And if you do question the teachings, then you're moving closer to the devil and you're moving further away from God. And these people would say the same exact thing about physical reality. The more you ask questions, the less that you are going to be able to access these otherworldly forms of knowledge, right? As long as you keep yourself in the earthly knowledge, then you won't be able to break out of it. So it's a little fucked too. It's like, it's to say that people who question, people who are skeptical, would never be able to understand this. That's what I think is fucked up about it. Because now anyone who comes in and is like, I would like you to substantiate this like I am, or I would like you to prove this, has, it can be like laughed out of the room by the people who believe in this, because they're just like, you are too focused on what you perceive as reality. That's what they would say. Yeah, I agree, Skelly. It's kind of weird that he channels a Native American spirit that he completely made up. Like, is Red Eagle historic? Or did he just make him up because he sounds Native American enough? Like, Red Eagle's that sounds Native American. He's this muscular Native American chief. Like, okay. Dolphins can shut down one half of their brain at a time while they're keeping their other awake so that they can sleep and stay alert for threats and breathe. Yeah, I think you and I are on the same page about what the altered brain state can say, like what we can allow it to say and what conclusions we can allow it to draw. So I think we're on the same page there, Hyperion. Yeah, if you question us, you'll suffer the wrath of God. Or in the case of the spiritual people, if you question this, you'll never experience it, or you'll never experience reality, right? Red Eagle is from Dances with Wolves, I think. I would be able to tell that's a joke, don't worry.
And suddenly my hand wrote, "Hello, I am Red Eagle." Now, I had never heard of Red Eagle, but he wrote it through my hand.
So what I would want to know in this instance is, how do you know that he wrote it? How do you know that your brain was turned off? How do you know that something took hold of you if you weren't in a conscious state? How can you corroborate this or substantiate this in any meaningful way? How can you eliminate all of the variables of your mental processes such that you can say that the writing was automatic? That's the thing here, is like the level of proof that these guys have to provide is so astronomically high that they have to rely on the, well, you just don't know defense, because they can't meet that burden. Like, that is way too high, dude.
All this chill came over my body, and I fell asleep. And I woke up, and I felt so good. I felt like I'd just been hugged by a grandfather or something.
By Red Eagle.
I was hugged by Red Eagle, and I woke
By a grandfather or something? I feel like we're learning a little bit about Riz here.
up, and I felt
What's up, Ryak? We're doing psychics, mediums, what I'm calling Vibro-Chuds, spiritual channelers, people who connect with the spirit realm. That's the idea today, and we're just critiquing that. We're critiquing their claims and shit like that. So welcome in. Unless he's talking about William Weatherford, aka Red Eagle, but in that case, what is Creek Chief from Alabama doing in California? Yeah, like, there's a few things about this, and I'm gonna kind of wait until he actually channels Red Eagle, because as we saw, that's coming up. But one of the first things that I think is, like, how does this chief know English? Fluent modern day English, if they're an ascendant being and have no matter, like have no business with the earthly realm, right? Like, number one. Number two, yeah, if it's not a historical figure, he can just make up whatever the fuck he wants. Did he say the tribe? Did he give any sort of like identifying factors to Red Eagle, or did they just say that his name is Red Eagle? I think they just said his name is Red Eagle, but I guess we'll see. Anyways, I'll get into that more when we get there. Let's listen to him explain the automatic writing right now.
or something.
By Red Eagle.
I was hugged by Red Eagle, and I woke up, and I felt like I'm supposed to deliver some messages here.
I wanted to ask you how you would explain it to somebody who just thinks this is not real.
Okay, here we go. Here we go. I'm glad I didn't watch this ahead of time. I did not know this question would be put forward to him.
Someone who says this is bullshit, he's acting.
How do you explain? You know, you're asking really big questions.
Oh, God. Here we go. This is what I was saying. The burden of proof is so high that they literally just have to say, someone who's skeptical just can't understand. That's my prediction here. Let's see if it comes true.
Guy, because you're basically saying, what do you say to skeptics? Skeptics are going to be there forever. I think that if Buddha had a Facebook page, he would have haters. And some of the people...
Okay, that doesn't mean anything. Just because skeptics will be there doesn't mean that some of them aren't valid.
who actually have been waiting for those people to come back would be the first to hate on them and say, you're not the real one. Because the real one would never have a Facebook page. Well, how do you know Buddha would not? Yeah, I think Buddha would have a Facebook page and an Instagram.
In today's world, you got to get the message out.
Thank you, right? This debate goes back and forth. Like,
there was no answer in there. Wait, he actually didn't answer the question. He's like, there's always going to be haters. I can't stop people from hating. I love that skepticism and criticism is equal to hate. Is what I'm doing right now, hate. Because I'm not blindly accepting everything you have to say on its face. It's hate. Because I don't just eat up every word you say and go like, yeah, dude, you're in an altered state, man. You had this spirit guardian, Red Eagle, this ascendant light being communicate through you, that there were messages you needed to give to people. I fully accept that. Because I don't do that, I'm a hater. What a dumbass.
Are psychics real? Are mediums real? How come?
What a little baby bitch too. Like he can't even think about like the first line of defense. It's just haters gonna hate, dude.
Thank you, right? This debate goes back and forth, like, are psychics real, are mediums real? How come you don't know this if you know this? But that's not how it works. A psychic is supposed to know whatever they're supposed to know in that particular reading for a particular purpose to help that person go to the next step. You know,
Okay, what did that mean?
this debate goes back and forth, like, are psychics real, are mediums real? How come you don't know this if you know this? But that's not how.
What does that second question mean? He starts with a real question. How do you know psychics are real or mediums are real? And then he says, how do you know this if you know this? As if that's somehow illustrating the structure of that question, but it's just nonsense. And then he moves on to say, like, we can't know anything for certain. And that's it? What the
How it works. A psychic is supposed to know whatever they're supposed to know in that particular reading.
A psychic is supposed to know whatever they're supposed to know in that reading. What does he mean by supposed to know? What does he mean by, you found the painting for real? That's hilarious. What does he mean by that? A psychic is supposed to know what a psychic is supposed to know for that particular reading. So, literal tautology. And then what does he say this explains? So this tautology explains what?
For a particular purpose to help that person go to the next step. You know.
So I'm a psychic, so I understand these things because I'm a psychic, and I'm supposed to understand things like this to help you to go to the next step. That's what that sentence said. I can help you because I'm a psychic, and I'm supposed to know these things because I'm a psychic, so I can help you. And haters are gonna hate. Whoa, okay. If somebody listens to this and actually thinks that he said something there, I don't know if you are able to like watch the news and understand reality. Like I seriously doubt your ability to operate in the like mundane world. Like that is I'm very concerned about your critical faculties. Like
I feel compelled to like go into a reading.
Right now.
Yeah.
Wait, Hyperion, you're saying something. He's compelled to go into a reading. We'll pause right there. I think the point of the question is if you're psychic, why don't you know everything instead of select information? But the way he tried to answer that, because you're right, that actually does sound like the question he's trying to answer. But it started with, how do you settle skeptics? And he was like, well, everybody wants to know if psychics are real, if mediums are real. But, like, they want to know, like, if you know this, how come you don't know that? And, like, the psychic, okay, yeah, no, he is answering that. Okay, now I see it. But he's still not actually giving us anything of substance, right? Because he's still just saying a psychic is supposed to know what they're supposed to know because they're a psychic, and that's how they help you, right? That's still just nonsense salad. That sounded like an essay a middle schooler would turn in. It sounded like a middle schooler who, like, was trying to explain, like, their racist joke. You know what I mean? It's like, well, black people are going to be violent because they're black people, and so I was making a joke about it, right? That's what it sounds like. It's just, like, this, like, baseless justification on, like, the claim of the on the premise. It's so weird. This conclusion based on the premise that then says that he's doing what he needs to do to help people. Like, what? I'm so confused. My follow-up question is, if you're supposed to take me up to the next step, why don't I just go to a therapist who will also help me overcome certain obstacles? I would love to know his answer to that. Because what I think he would say, because you would assume he would be like, well, that's good, I want you to get help in any way. But what I think he would say is that psychology is built up of scientific understanding, and scientific understanding is incomplete. So relying on science will never give you a complete picture. That is what I think the answer would be, and that is so sad. And just like, I can picture so many people buying into that line of reasoning, right? This is like where anti-vaxxers come from, right? Like, it's literally where, like, flat earthers, anti-vaxxers, like, that's the same line of thinking that they operate under. Science can't answer everything, so I can't trust science. Ugh, dude. All right, let's see. He's getting in the mood to channel. Let's see what he does when he channels.
Person go to the next step. You know, I feel compelled to like go into a reading.
Right now?
Yeah, with you.
Oh, let's do it. Are we gonna channel now or?
No, we'll channel later.
Okay.
I want to kind of go into family. I'm starting to see a little bit of the family energy, and I want to talk about that.
The family energy. Okay. What is there also like girlfriend energy, mother-in-law energy? Jesus
I want to
Christ.
speak about the father energy. Father's still
Oh my God, there is. What is this?
with us, but he's very strong. I know he's alive. I can
Well, he's a father. He's strong, of course.
feel, you know, he doesn't feel crossed over, but he feels very present here with us. So first of all, I want to say that I feel a strong chi, and that means a strong life force energy, but I'm getting very blocked up here. So neck and shoulders, I'm getting very, very blocked. And this is
This is already so weird. Oh my gosh.
He's not saying anything. Just saying, I feel a father, I feel a strong presence, I'm getting a lot of chi in my body, but not in my head. And she's like, oh my God, when you say those things, I can picture my father. That's so crazy, bro. That's literally what's happening. Like, it's so dumb. Yeah, has she never heard of a cold reading before? Like, this is so obviously what's happening. His mouth is just squirting out bullshit. Exactly, and just hoping she latches on. Feeling like a father energy, that father's like really strong. Like, it's just, yeah, sure, most dads are going to be strong. Sure, most dads are not going to be like emotionally mature because of patriarchal structures and how they've been implemented in our society historically. So this is most likely everyone's dad. People who are watching this are probably like, he's describing my dad. Oh my God, that's father energy. You know it. That's father energy right there. That's how I know he's telling the truth. Like,
so this is very constricted for me, and this is either
How do you know this? Oh my God.
Okay, so I need to hop in here and commentate a little because Riz did not want me to share any information on my end. He wanted to just keep going with the information that he was getting. But I need to say that this was super, super crazy right off the bat because my dad has had shoulder problems for years.
that's not what he was communicating when he was saying that I get a lot of chi here, but I'm getting blocked up in my head. That's not what he was saying. He was saying that your dad is not very strong mentally, but he's got a lot of physical strength. That's what he was saying. He wasn't saying anything about shoulder pain, dumbass. This proves that this shit's just complete bullshit. She's just hearing what she wants to hear. This is so dumb. Oh, I went forward. There we go. You want to go to one of these and fuck with them 100% of the time? A group of people decided to oust a spirit medium and basically show that they're phony. There's one of the videos we're watching tonight is called I paid psychics to contact my fake dead grandmother. So we're going to do that soon. All right, let's get back to this.
And has had multiple shoulder surgeries, and there is no way that Riz could have known this information. So the reading was,
and he didn't say that, and he didn't say that information. There's no way he could have known it, and he didn't say it. So what, dude? If he was sitting over here like, oh, there's like a shoulder surgery that your dad went through recently, fine. But he didn't do that. Instead, he's like, shoulder, upper body, chi. And she's like, his shoulder surgery. How did you know? Fuck me, dude.
actually so crazy, but it's really long, so I'm just gonna give you a quick summary. It turns out that Riz was spot on about so much, and it was all stuff that you could...
Was there anything he wasn't spot on about? This is what I mean by being selective with the evidence that they use. Like, yeah, there's things that confirm your belief. Were there things that didn't? Bring those to the table.
Didn't just look up via my YouTube channel or my social media. He knew all sorts of specific information about my family and my past. And
Notice she's not being specific anymore. She was being specific. She was like, he talked about my dad's shoulder, which he didn't. She just decided to hear that. But then she goes on to say he knew lots of other specifics. So because we heard one thing, right, we go on, like, if we're not questioning her at all, we go on to take for granted that he did say other things that he couldn't have known. But without an example, it's like, well, what else did he fucking say? You know?
And about who I am as a person, and it resonated with me so much. Aside from the psychic intuitive stuff, he also is a medium and started picking up on spirits in the room.
Everyone has spirit guides. These are the non-physical presence or beings that are referred to in every culture. All the religions mention that there are angels around you. I feel them.
That doesn't prove anything. This is ancient aliens thinking. Just because some people were like, they're spirits, doesn't mean they're spirits. Just because post-enlightenment thinking says we privilege evidence and we don't see spirits, doesn't mean that we had it right before, because for centuries we were just assuming they're spirits. Like, they believe that it's what we heard before, that skepticism is just skepticism. That if you have a belief in something, that is a more privileged form of understanding than having evidence or reason, right? Can we fact check that, right? That data is anecdotal at best. Dude.
They each have distinct personalities. Some of them have names. They are here.
Yeah, I'm not sure all religions have angels, but what I think he's saying, Connor, is that all religions talk about spirits, which I think we might want to substantiate, but unless we're talking about like the Pastafarian religion, like I think that most probably do claim that there's spirits out there, you know? Or some form of spirits.
I feel them. They each have distinct personalities. Some of them have names. They are here not to interfere in your life, but to help nudge you when you need some nudging. You have a spirit guide. Her name is Claire. C-L-A-I-R.
Why are they, the one big thing for me is, why are they here for us? And this is such a, this is where we get into, this is such a like human desire to have these unseen guides who care for our well-being, like to make us feel comfort in the fact that we might live in a purposeless and meaningless world, right? Like, it might be so hard for us to feel like the world has no meaning and might be purposeless. So it's so comforting to think that there are these spiritual guides all around us who guide us, and that's their job. But why would that be the case? It gets back to very religious thinking where like the universe was built for us. But why would that be the case? Why would the universe be built for us? So dumb. Pretty sure ghosts aren't canon in Christianity. What? Wait, Ryak, are you serious? I mean, the Holy Ghost. Are you joking? You're probably joking, right? He's like a middle-aged mother's Facebook account, but a living, walking human. Yeah, exactly. My mom is very similar to this. I told you guys when we were doing the demonic possession, my mom is somebody who put a lot of faith in Sylvia Brown and these types of mediums. No, that's God. That's an exception. No, but they use the terminology. Like, it's there. It's there, man. Hello, Slam Bars. Places owned by his own rules. Yeah. The universe happened on accident. I know, right? How could it possibly be? All right, let's get back.
E.
Okay.
He's very like almost French. He doesn't from French Canada.
Yeah,
he is from French Canada.
Yeah.
Does he speak French?
Yeah.
She has the energy of a ballet dancer. She has the energy of like Marie Antoinette like times.
I love that these spirits too, like, are all so resonant in human ways. Like, how are they all so human if they're these otherworldly beings that are beyond our reach? Like, it's so dumb. Exactly. What is the energy of a ballet dancer? We've got family energy, father energy, and ballet dancer energy within the span of 2 minutes of this video. Like,
Like, you need to know fancy, and that she wants you to know that you are allowed to have fancy, and she really wants you to know this. You don't.
Yeah, what is a ballet dancer's
am
energy
I
is a
allowed
good
to have
question.
that?
Totally.
Other people can have that, but I'm not really allowed to have that. I'm not. That's not real for me.
Right.
And I want to let you know it is real for you.
Okay, so I actually asked my dad after this.
Dude, he is just spewing out nonsense, dude. It's like he took the one like affirmation that she got that he knows what he's talking about and was like, oh, now you believe me? Oh man, there's like this cowboy energy here, and like he's got a nice massive, he's got some good cock energy, you know? And then there's like these black people here, they got this black energy, man. Like, what the fuck is this? He just like immediately started like going into these other things that had not, like, it's so weird. He was just like, oh, you believe me? Cool. So there's like all these spirits around here. No, this guy sucks for sure, man. You don't have to worry about your language, Connor. I swear all the time, dude. Yeah, fuck this, dude. Exactly. You're allowed to have fancy, but I have... Dude, I don't understand what the fuck he was talking about with the fancy. It sounded like he started just painting portraits of people that he's met in his life, where he's like, you know those like rich people who like think they're better than everybody, but like when it comes down to it, like they're not really better than everybody. That's this spirit's energy. We got hedge fund boy energy over here. It's like, okay, dude. Like,
other people can have that, but I'm not really allowed to have that. I'm not. That's not real.
See what I mean? It sounds so weird. You know those types of people who are like, he can have that, but I can't have that.
For me.
Right.
And I want to let you know it is real for you.
Okay, so I actually asked my dad after this reading, hey, do we have any family who have passed away named Claire? And he's like, oh yeah, actually, your grandmother's godmother was...
That proves it, dude. That proves it, dude. Your grandmother's godmother. So what would not have fit there? Like, that's someone who's not even in your bloodline, dog. Your grandmother's godmother is removed from your fucking bloodline. Could you just have had a neighbor? Like, in the past? Like, yeah, actually, our neighbors. Your grandmother's neighbor was Claire. How did the psychic know? And she was a ballet dancer. Like, holy shit.
It's Claire Langlais. So, spirit guide Claire, wherever you are, I want you to know that I believe in you, I feel your presence, and you can feel free to keep telling me that I deserve to be rich.
She literally thinks that her grandmother's godmother is hanging out with her, helping her to enjoy her wealth. Dude. Jesus Christ, man. She has a nice mouth. That is an interesting observation. I guess I'll look more at her mouth now and see if I agree. You hate that this content gets views. That's why we're watching it. One of the first things that I said when we started stream is these people, the problem with them is that they prey on people's vulnerability, right? And their desperation for closure on things that either happened in their lives, things that they're going through, right? Or they just want this sort of unattainable certainty in things that they normally couldn't have certainty in, right? So that for me is the major issue, is you take these people who are really, really seeking closure, seeking healing, and you just get some motherfucker who's like, you know, I can channel my Native American spirit guide, and his council of ascendant beings can tell you what crystals to get to solve the problems in your house. And I happen to have all of those crystals on stock right here. Like, okay, dude. It's such a devious trick, man. I hate it.
I accept. So, Claire, let's make it rain. You and me, baby.
Okay, so grandmother, mother's mother. Okay, so she's here now, and I see her through your face.
Wow.
For some reason, I feel like there's a part of her that I almost want to say wasted away inside of her and was very depleted. I don't know if she was an alcoholic.
Wow, you mean someone who in the past, probably growing up in Great Depression era times, going through World War II and the baby boomer generation, probably taking care of a family at home by herself, and having to deal with what comes with that at a time when women didn't have a lot of power or stake in society, that somebody like that might feel dead inside. Oh, whoa. Dude, he's just taking common things, common traits, common experiences that people would have in a certain age band, and being like, oh, I feel this person here. Is she your grandmother? And it's like, yeah, maybe her grandmother went through that, but it doesn't prove any. Oh God, it's so dumb, dude. The fact that these people are like, that resonates. Wow, this extremely common experience that people of this generation had and my grandmother also happened to have tells me, like, the fact that he knows that that's what she went through tells me that it's her. It's so fucking dumb, dude. He just needs a solo flex. I'm brought back to the Goop Lab. Dude, I can't. Whenever I think of the Goop Lab, I just think of the vagina eggs, dude. And the medium was reading a person but was wrong, but then another person in the room... but there was another person in the room, so the medium was like, oh, I'm picking up on her. Yeah, exactly. That's what they do. It reminds me of that old... I saw this when I was like in 4th grade, this old South Park episode about John something. He had like this show called Crossover on Sci-Fi. Yeah, apparently the Goop Lab, I don't know about the show, but yeah, it sounds hilarious to me. But yeah, he would claim that he's talking to people's dead relatives on air, and they just did this gag where like they kept trying to confound him, and he was like, oh, I'm picking up this person or that person. And he that's why they would have these massive audiences in these shows, because it would be like, all you had to do is be like, I'm picking up a Patricia from like this part of the audience. Patricia. Oh, Patterson. That's what I'm picking up on. Right. So your uncle, grandma, father, son. Yeah, son. That's what they were telling me. Son. He died recently, long time ago, in the womb. He died in the womb. That's what he's telling me. Like, that's literally how those shows went. That's what we're seeing right here, too. I barely figured out the loop on the headphones right now. It was wait, what? It was the spirit of my grandmother's grandmother that I channeled. Wait, what? I bet he didn't ask her dad about that one, no mother-in-law died at 25 in a car crash, didn't feel a thing. Yeah, right? She wasn't worn down. She wasn't depressed. She wasn't unfulfilled. Like, she just immediately believes all those things. What if all this is a scheme to make people unironically buy the rocks? It is. Wait, it is that, though. That's exactly what it is. Like, they will, like, Reiki healers will literally carry rocks to a location that they're, like, spiritually diagnosing. Like, they'll walk around a house and check out the feng shui and the spiritual energy, and they'll take these rocks out at the end and they'll be like, so you need this to calm down the energy that I'm sensing in the bathroom, and you need this in a bright spot in the house, and like there'll be like these like $50 fucking rocks, but then they'll conveniently be like, oh, you can't afford that one? Well, no matter, here's shungite. It's cost $10 and it'll do the same thing, you know, like yeah. Let's see what happens. The cost of the couch on the set is worth the struggle. This isn't a set. This is the boy's home, dude. This is a house tour. This is where this motherfucker lives. Someone tried to sell me a $50 rock. I'm chucking it back at them. I mean, crystals are cool, you know? But when you buy them to, like, deconstipate you, like, you got a problem, you know?
Or not, but she's letting me know that there was some major problems, okay?
She had alcoholic tendencies, I think.
Got it, okay.
She loved partying, social.
There you go.
Yeah.
But she sees...
There you go. Oh, dude.
Is that you have the same tendencies, not alcohol, but of running your engines really high, like her.
Yeah.
And she's gonna make sure that you don't do that. Okay?
After this reading,
Somebody who you know is a social media influencer who probably is on camera like all the time or editing their videos, you can probably assume has a high energy drive. Like, you could probably say that for anybody who you know has a very active lifestyle. That is not something that is unique unto her. And he did not have a unique way of perceiving that beyond just sitting down with her and assuming things about her life.
I was confident that Riz is a real psychic medium with some very special abilities, but I was still skeptical about this whole channeling thing. So when it was finally time to fly...
Well, that's not a lot to convince you of. You're sure that he's talking to spirits around you. You're just not sure if he can have them talk through him. That's not a lot to convince you of there. I think he can do it. I would agree with that statement, by the way, Slam Bars, because like what I said, like they are predators. They prey on people's vulnerability and desire to seek closure, right? Desire to seek certainty and finality on things that they've experienced or a loss that they've suffered, right?
Red Eagle Airlines, I was buckled in and ready for takeoff.
Can you first just explain how that works? What you need to do to get into
Okay, I gotta see the lips. You guys keep mentioning her mouth. Okay, I gotta look. I gotta look
a
at
real
this.
psychic medium with some very special abilities, but I was still skeptical about this whole channeling thing. So
I mean, she has nice lips. I don't see like the specialness though. I don't see like what's worthy of remark there. But she has nice lips. Do you think Riz was the type to ask girls when he was younger if they want to hear him play music, or he just plays Wonderwall? I can see what you're thinking. I honestly bet Riz like was very socially awkward and like pursued a career in STEM, but then like after college, went like into the retreat where he just like took some ayahuasca and shrooms and was like, forget that, and like moved out of his apartment in Silicon Valley to go do this shit. Like that's what I'm feeling from him, you know? All right, let's go back.
when it was finally, I was still skeptical about this whole channeling thing. So when it was finally time to fly Red Eagle Airlines, I was buckled in and ready for takeoff.
Can you first just explain how that works, what you need to do to get into it, and then you can show us?
Well, I will ask you, Sky, to be a part of it. When I do my channeling in front of people, I ask everyone to do the small meditation with me. It'll just be about 20 seconds, and then I will kind of go out of my body. It almost looks like I'm just fading out, like I'm getting tired. And then Red Eagle is a spirit guide who immediately comes into my body and starts speaking.
Take note, because we're going to see some other people who claim to do this later on tonight, and you're going to see completely different methods, like literally no consistency, not even any consistency in the claims about what the spirit realm is, right? Yeah, you're going to get ready. He's going to do some ohms for us, some classic ohms here.
Surround yourself with light. Imagine that this point of light is emanating from a point between your eyebrows. It is a beautiful iridescent light with many colors, glowing in and out, getting bigger and brighter. A circle of light around your body, a circle of light maybe 2 to 3 feet around you in every direction. I want you to imagine that your circle of light is now...
So people who don't know, this is called a Merkaba. He's trying to manifest his body's light vehicle to take him as a chariot would to the realm of the ascendants. And it sounds like I'm joking. This is literally what they believe. I am not joking. Look up Merkabas.
Connecting with my circle of light, and it's becoming an even larger circle. I'm going to start off the Om. You just join me. So really let it out, Sky. And then after that, we'll say hi to Red Eagle.
Can it be like a motorbike? A motorbike is a chariot. When you LARP, a motorbike is a chariot. Yeah, like, could it be any more stereotypical? And it's like, you aren't going to see other motherfuckers who do this tonight do the motherfucking Om chant. Like, he's the only one who's doing his mudras over here. Nobody else does this. Like,
Hello.
Hi.
and he's also the only one who puts on a voice, dude. The voice, dude. Literal red face right now. Oh, hello.
Hello.
Hi.
And Red Eagle. Many people feel that it's the end of the world. Many people feel they have a kind of breakdown happening. But that is what is called a spiritual death. Then you have a spiritual rebirth. What happens when you are born? You are...
He's trying so hard with this accent, man. Yeah, like it's shifting all over the place. It's not consistent. Like it started at first, it sounded a little Native American at first, but definitely shifted towards like a Slavic Russian. And then it like started to move back, but it stays in that realm.
First starting very small, then you grow for 9
First starting very small, yes, and then you'll get the spiritual guidance that you need to live a happy life. My name is Red Eagle. I'm here to solve your problems. I'm your spiritual guide. I'm Native American.
months. Then you feel the energy and the nurturing of the mother. Then you are pushed
Of the mother.
out of the canal, the tunnel that is going through to
The canal. Dude, he really does just sound Russian. They come out of the canal. Like, back in Russia, we have these canals we have to crawl through to get to work, through the mud. Like, he literally sounds like that.
the new life. The mother is in pain. The baby is being squeezed through a narrow space. There is blood. There is
Okay,
tears.
I gotta try. What the fuck? Is he just describing birth? I gotta go back. What is this motherfucker describing? I'll try to ignore the accent.
Then you feel the energy and the nurturing of the mother
Oh my god, I can't. The energy and the nurturing of the mother.
down happening. But that is what is called a spiritual death. Then you have a spiritual rebirth. What happens when you are born? You are first starting very small, then you grow for 9 months. Then you feel the energy and the nurturing of the mother. Then you are pushed out of the canal, the tunnel that is going through to the new life. The mother is in pain. The baby is being squeezed through a narrow space. There is blood, there are tears, there is sweat, there is
So, the more this guy speaks, the more I'm concerned we're dealing with somebody who has a narcissistic God complex. And in my own kind of like exploration of these ideologies, one thing that becomes clear very quickly is a sort of satanic belief of the like fact that we don't know of God, but we can be the master of our own realm, of our own universe, right? So these guys start to believe that they are their own gods and that they have access to specialized knowledge that other people wouldn't because of the endeavors that they've taken, right? So this guy is starting to give me those vibes. Like, he no longer seems like he's just trying to grift for the sake of getting people to believe that he has access to a spiritual world. He seems like he's trying to play the role of a prophet, right? The channeling kind of changed the flavor for me. These are all facts. What's he trying to say? He's talking about spiritual rebirth. He's talking about the afterlife right now and saying that when you go to the afterlife, you will be reborn, a new baby that comes out of your mother's vaginal canal. But instead of your mother, it's your spiritual guardian angel. And she says, your new name is Josiah, and welcome to heaven. So he's just describing that process right now.
danger. There are new sounds. There are all sorts of things that are not natural for that baby. Maybe the baby feels that it is going to die.
Dexter from Dexter's Lab.
In the womb for 9 months. Imagine what it was like for the child about to be born. They don't know, but they feel that they are compelled to do it. They know they cannot stay in the womb anymore, so they have to be squeezed through that space. What is on the other side? Bright lights, a harsher environment. But there is also the connection to the mother. They are seeing and hearing and tasting and smelling much more information than before. They could not have imagined what they are going to experience, and that is what is happening to people.
And then the mother pays $40 for skin-to-skin contact when her baby is born because it was born in America and we have a for-profit healthcare system that preys on people.
You're not dying and going to stay dead. You're going through a spiritual death. You're going to be reborn. It is a rebirth happening for you. You cannot avoid that. You can try to avoid it. The moment you try to avoid it, it will chase you.
Yo. The spirit knows to look into the cameras in dramatic ways.
And going to stay dead. You're going through a spiritual death. You're going to be reborn. It is a rebirth happening for you. You cannot avoid that.
Like, that's not an ascendant being who doesn't care about appearances or materiality. That is a dumbass who's pretending to channel a spirit, talking in a weird Russian Native American accent that's trying to convince us that he's speaking about some deeper truths about the world. Like, holy shit, dude. Waiting for a bird to slap him in the face. I bet he does have a live bird just flying around his house. He seems like the motherfucker for that.
You can try to avoid it. The moment you try to avoid it, it will chase you. It will show up everywhere. It is not to change everybody around you. It is for yourself. That is why for all these months that is happening on the planet, look what happened.
Yeah, why would a spirit have his own cadence and syntax? Exactly. Like a spirit who's like transcended its own body and physical being, like still somehow manifests the voice that's tied to its physical being. Like if I were an energy being, I should not sound like this because my vocal cords are making the noise. Like, just because you get summoned, it would be so weird to get summoned into another body and all of a sudden they're talking like me or this or whatever, you know?
On the planet right now, that all the people on the planet experiencing the same thing. So everything is about oneness. Everything for you.
Well, except this house, which is a spiritual insulating chamber, apparently.
You think it does not exist? It is underneath everything. You don't have to try to create it, you have to surrender to it. And how do you surrender to it?
This is what I'm saying, dude. This is what I'm saying. This is why I was saying start believing it and you'll see. You can sum up these people's ideas and their arguments as start believing it, you will see it. Until you believe it, you won't see it. Until you open your eyes, you won't see it. Until you submit. He's almost saying submit here, right? Because he's like, don't run away from death. Submit to it. Submit to the reality. Like, give up that skepticism, and then you'll start to see.
You have to surrender to love. What love? There is no love. All I see is people fighting, hating, destroying. The love you were born as. When you were birthing, you knew the magic of life.
When you were birthing.
You knew the magic of creation when you were coming into
Llama pelt before. Yeah, the whole, like, what I was saying is hilarious about this house is, like, this is somebody who apparently is supposed to be beyond material possessions, yet when you look at the house, it's like, yeah, clearly you give a fuck about the shit that's around you, my man.
You came to give love. You had it. You see in the baby's eyes. The love is already there. Then the parents remember love by seeing the baby, because the baby, you and you were that baby. So we bless you and we're with you. Just remember, you can be reborn to yourself as many times as you want, even every day. Bless you.
So I'm going to go back to what I was saying before. This is, if we take this as a metaphor, this is great. Not the full thing. Not 90% of it. Literally just that last sentence. Like, you could be reborn every day. That idea that you have the capacity to shape your being and your perception and your understanding consciously such that it would make a meaningful difference in the way that you live your life each day, that is a great takeaway. When it moves into, I know this because I speak to light beings and they told me the truth, well, we got a problem, right? I will keep reinforcing that as my issue. I don't care if people are using this as a metaphor to better themselves, better their perception of reality. I have a problem when they really start believing in light beings and when they start trying to convince other people that they know how to talk to light beings. That's a tough sell, you're right. Yeah, like, the burden of proof for that is too high. It is way too high. But, like, if you want to sit there and tell me that I should be conscious, that I should place less importance in materiality, that I should seek my own self-betterment, that's fine. Stop telling me that I need to do it through your methods, right? I can seek my own betterment. That's fine. I don't need to come to your conclusions and your understanding. Like, he's literally telling us in this, submit to this knowledge, submit to this understanding, right? Like, do your research for a role. What'd you say, Skelly? Actually, I'd believe it more if he had zero accent or was super deadpan or it came out like screaming or something. Yeah, you had to like slow it down. Yeah, exactly. It never feels beyond this world, right? It's always going to come through to us in very like perceptive and human ways, right?
Be well. Yeah.
Yeah. His yeah is the only Native American and gigantic scare quotes. Like, it's the only pseudo stereotypical Native American. That's what I'll say. It's like the only red-faced part of this. The rest of this was just Russian.
Be well. Yeah.
It'd be better if he was homeless. Maybe. Actually, I think we are going to watch a homeless person who's doing this tonight. But, like, not somebody who seems to have mental problems. Somebody who just, like, put themselves on YouTube. No, we're not. Oh, I'm getting him confused. Somebody who's basically that. The yeah reminds me more of Rocky Balboa. Yeah. Yeah. All right, when's the fight? Yeah, I can see it. Yo, I'm going to go get a monster or something.
Do you remember what just happened?
I heard some of that. That you can't miss. It's that kind of wisdom that's been coming out for all these years.
What?
At that point, I say to people, it doesn't matter if you believe in channeling or you don't. Listen to what's being said.
So what is my conclusion about all of this? First,
Wait, what? It doesn't matter if you believe in channeling or don't. Listen to what's being said. Again, I will just say again, if you take the words at a metaphoric level and you ignore all of the claims, all of the evidence that he's bringing in, then yeah, the words are fine. I have no problem with them. If you take them at a figurative level, right? But yeah, when you start believing that he knows what he's talking about, that's, yeah.
First of all, I want to say that I love Riz. I think he's an incredible person. He's super kind. He's clearly...
Yeah, Skelly, you're right, because he did say originally, like, he's not conscious of this, but then when he comes back, he's like, yeah, I heard some important stuff. And I think what he's doing in that moment is he's taking control of the situation so that he can say what we need to worry about and take away from that, right? He's not going to relinquish control of the message completely, is what that says. He can't relinquish control of the message completely, because if he does, you might come to a conclusion like me where I'm like, okay, well, taking it at a metaphorical value, cool. He'll be like, no, but you need to understand he was telling you the truth. You know what I mean? He can't just give that up.
Very talented, and he genuinely wants to help people.
How did he help you? What did he do for you? What was the help? Told you that there's like a love being that's controlling him? Like, what did he do to help? Where's the help? I think that's going to be a recurring question for tonight. Where the fuck is the help? How are they helping people? You'll see people who are more obviously trying to seek help through this, but are the people really helping them? That's a totally different question.
I believe he was actually channeling a real Native American chief who lived over 100 years ago.
Yo, Slam Bars, I'm surprised you have any respect for her. I mean, she has bought into his shit from the moment this video started. She was like, wow, this is all so amazing. Like, to her, open-mindedness is believing. And like, because she hasn't been able to push back on him effectively, she's just made this video so much more, she's given this video so much more of an ability to convince people that this is real, right? Just through her lack of ability to push back against him and ask questions that a skeptic would ask, like, or provide that perspective. Like, somebody looking into this hears her ask that one question where she's like, oh, you know, what do you say to skeptics? And then he says, well, I'm a psychic, and a psychic should know what a psychic should know, and a psychic does what a psychic does, so I'm going to help people, right? And then doesn't push back against that and is like, yeah, that's a really powerful message. Like, she's just giving him a platform to spew his shit. She gives me the vibes of somebody who takes astrology as fact rather than a fun little thing. Yeah, exactly. That is my issue, actually. That's my issue, Hyperion, in general. It's like, you can look at astrology and like take it as like, oh, you know, like helps me to learn about myself. That's fine. But when you're like literally like, you are a Libra and you are incompatible with me, like, okay. Thanks, I appreciate that, Slam Bars. That's what I'm trying to do here, is just like take away the good, but let's critique what the fuck we're looking at here. You know what I mean? I know too much in possession and spirituality to buy into this. Wait, you, Skelly? What do you mean? I'm confused a little bit. My bad. You lost me on that one a little bit. Here, let's go back to this.
Named Red Eagle. I
honestly
don't know. I believe.
Oh, got it. Yeah. Now I understand
Believes
fully.
he is, but personally,
We got a Mimi.
I don't know enough about channeling to have any idea whether or not this stuff is actually real. I would probably have to study and investigate this topic for a really long time to have any type of conclusion around it, but
So the problem with her saying this is that she's saying she would have to do a lot of research to form a conclusion, but like she's kind of already formed the conclusion that she's going to believe until she has evidence not to believe. Like, shouldn't you lack a belief until you see the proof? Why would you just believe it partially, but also not fully believe it? Like, what?
But it is really fascinating, and it's something I would love to revisit. So if you want to see another video with Riz and Red Eagle and more information about channeling, that's something I would love to make. So please let me know in the comments below if that is a video that would excite you. If you like
Nope, and I don't like what you're doing. I'm sorry, dude. You're not helping the world in the way that you think you are. Oh, that sucks. Yeah, I know a few people who are allergic to cats. Yeah, I don't like this. Like, there's, you know, normally I wouldn't be critical of her position too much, but she's literally doing the equivalent of like platforming anti-vaxxers. You know what I mean? Like, she's platforming harmful ideologies for people who would be seeking comfort or closure, right? And she's allowing those beliefs to be perpetuated in these spiritual healers who are just trying to take advantage of people's vulnerabilities. So no, I really don't respect your position. You know, it's, well, everybody, I mean, even I, like, even though I don't have like that good of a face, I'm still using my face to present my message, right? So I think that's an inevitability. I don't think we can really say that she's doing that uniquely. But what she's doing is she's taking her audience and exposing them to these ideas and saying that there's something here for them, right? And her audience has 165K subs. This video came out a long time ago, like it came out in September last year, came out in September 2020, and only has 25K views. So it doesn't seem like it's getting a lot of reach, thankfully, you know, which is nice. All right, so next up, we're going to do this person. I thought this would be a good follow-up. This is called Episode 65, Channeling Mary Magdalene, Her Voice. And the reason that I liked this one is because in the middle, we're going to get an explanation from the person who is doing the channeling that says, in the voice of the spirit, quote unquote, that everyone who channels this spirit is going to experience them differently. So we can't compare one manifestation of this spirit to another. So I was like, okay, cool. We're going to get some claims here. So let's watch this. Let's listen to the rationale, you know? If it came out in 2020, did she take proper precautions on meeting up with Riz? No. Yeah, you really think you needed to ask that question? Oh, man. By the way, yeah, all the videos I searched for, I made sure to filter out anything older than a year. So we should only have stuff that was made within the past year. Why does it start with space? Yeah. Well, because these are interdimensional beings who are cosmic in nature. And the information contained in Blue Soul Earth, in Earth Blue Soul Masters and Study with Spirit videos and/or courses can neither replace or substitute the services of trained professionals in any field. They ran into issues. Riz didn't run into issues like this. He didn't have to put the claim out there. This channel only has like 1,000 subs and 309 views, and they've run into problems, dude. Including but not limited to medical, psychological. This is hilarious, dude.
Hi, I'm Renee.
And I'm Anthony.
Thanks for joining our...
The fucking Vaseline on the camera lens, dude. Like, is that your aura? Vaseline? I thought you could just be able to manifest it if you guys were light beings, but okay, no, you gotta smear Vaseline on the lens to give off some kind of haze that makes it look like you've got an aura manifesting. Okay.
Blue Soul Wisdom series. Today, we're going to talk about Mary Magdalene, or otherwise known as Miriam of Magdala, the mystical being that is very misunderstood and once walked the earth plane over 2,000 years ago.
The earth plane, oh god.
So we channel the ascended masters that humanity across cultures knows well, and they come forth.
Snapchat filter is shock. Yeah, the Vaseline smearing on a lens is like an old porn thing. Like they used to do that in like 70s porns. Yeah, the mystical being. It sounded like she said mystical being. I didn't hear being until she continued her sentence.
And they speak when we channel as one voice. Today, after our guides come through, we're going to ask the Mary Magdalene energy to step forward and have a little chat about her.
I love how many different types of energy there are. The Mary Magdalene energy, the father energy, the ballerina energy. Like, what?
Energy and what she's here to teach as she's coming through in so many forms lately, in the way of books.
One thing that's consistent with these dumbass, like, spiritual chuds is that they just have no taste in art. Like, their art is always incredibly literal, like, with its symbology and everything, or it's just not well done. Like, they can't find people who are talented who also believe in this stuff.
In the way of movies, in the way of topics, discussions, and even a day honoring her.
But as a channeler, I know that she will come through Renee first and then into me, and that she's balancing both divine feminine and masculine energies. But as a channel myself,
Dude, what do crystal people think of trans individuals? Like, do they validate trans people? What the fuck was that? She's got this divine female and I'm the divine male. Back when I was looking into this stuff, they really do speak about gender and sexuality like as very similar things, and they speak about it as completely binary. They have no like terms for anything else. It's just man and woman. But then they'll claim that female or feminine and male or masculine energies are not to do with gender, but essential energies of the universe, and male and female components are embedded in everything, kind of like yin and yang. I don't know what the fuck that means, but when I hear them evoking this idea to say that his wife or his partner, whoever this person is, has divine female energy, it's like, wait, wouldn't she also contain male energy if what you're saying is consistent with these other things that I've heard? But also, like, what if she was trans? You know, like, I'm so curious to know what these guys would think about that. Like, what these guys would, I bet they're TERFs. I bet they literally are like, no. What are your chromosomes? Like, that's the one moment where they turn to science, right? Where they appeal to science. Channeling Mary Magdalene energy. What is this Xeno song? Apparently a lot of people channel Mary Magdalene. That was like one of the most common spirits that I saw. There are a few others. There's a few like famous spirits like Cryon, Ashtar. Those were some of the famous spirits. They have like these very LARPy names. Like they sound like they would be on a magic card, like Cryon, the Ascended Master, you know? Though I feel like today modern day Christians would shame Mary Magdalene for having engaged in prostitution. Oh, I forgot about that's okay. Now I remember who this is. Okay. Now I remember. Is there numerology involved? When necessary.
Am now fully integrated into these energies, but at the same time, I try to not have any of my preconceived ideas come through.
So again, let go of skepticism, let go of bias, right?
Now we're going to connect to our guides, and Anthony is really the one whose body seems to be altered by this process. So the energies work through both of us, but he goes into a bit of a trance state, slows his breath down, slows everything down to get into a theta brainwave state.
The thing too is it's one thing to watch somebody like Riz do their thing, where Riz, we know for sure, probably doesn't believe in this stuff as hard as he's letting on, right? Or compared to the people who would like subscribe to Riz, probably doesn't believe it to the same magnitude. These motherfuckers, I get a completely different sense about that. I feel like these guys totally subscribe to these beliefs, totally think that they're justified. And the fact that they have the disclaimer up front actually tells me that they might believe in themselves a little more, because they are afraid that these things are too powerful for some people to deal with who might be seeking comfort at the wrong time. The split between Christians and Catholics is who impregnated Mary. Interesting. Okay. Right. No, okay, that makes sense. Yeah. I feel like I gained this knowledge back when like the Da Vinci Code was coming out. I could be wrong, but that might have been like the only time that I really listened or like engaged with that, you know? But I do remember that name. I also remember it from like ghost shows. I feel like ghost shows would talk about Mary Magdalene a bunch, you know?
I want all of you to know this, that you all have the
Oh yeah, Da Vinci Code is a terrible movie. It was one my mom really enjoyed. Like, she just loved it. She loved the book. It was like that time, you know? Everybody just bought into the idea that it was like a good book, you know?
Breath down, slows everything down to get into a theta brainwave state.
I want all of you to know this, that you all have the ability to connect to everything if you choose. It just takes some practice. You have to let go of the fear, let go of the...
What does connect to everything mean, and how have you confirmed that this is possible, right? Like, can I connect to somebody's webcam and spy on them at my pleasure? Can I connect to the internet despite not paying my bills? Like, what does it mean you can connect to everything? Like,
ego, and let the information come from your heart.
So he's connecting now to these other dimensions. And as Anthony mentioned, Miriam of Magdala, or Magdala's...
wait, what happened here? I looked down and then I just saw this like white transition and he's like breathing all of a sudden. Jesus.
The information come from your heart.
So he's connecting now to these other dimensions. And as Anthony mentioned, Miriam of Magdala, or Magdala's soul, her energy or her frequency comes through to speak.
Always an honor and privilege to be in your presence, Gaia. Thank you for...
Jesus Christ. He inhaled that good. Yeah, it does sound like that. He was breathing real deep there. Why isn't she channeling Mary? Because apparently she comes through both of them, but she has a much more profound effect on his divine male energy.
For receiving us, we understand why we are here.
Thanks, guys.
We will allow
I can't with that breathing, dude. Let me see if I can summon that. I can't do it in a way where you guys can hear. Okay, I'm gonna die.
The energy of Magdala to come through. She is one of the highest ascended masters, as you could say, and she is a different being than we are as well. But she will come through.
Thank you.
Thank you. 1 second, please.
She has servants. She has like butlers in the spirit realm. That would suck. You go to heaven. You're like, ah, well, you know, there's this more holy being. You're going to be her servant, okay?
So one of the reasons our guides always come through first is that's a choice that we have as channelers, and we decide to have our guides come through because they act as a source of, if you like, discernment and protection.
Again with the guides, dude, such a human desire. Like, I don't need to paint that picture again, but it's just so dumb. I want to know when he traveled to Thailand.
To make sure that any other energies that we're actually connecting with are pure, are of love, are of light.
I am Miriam of Magdala, and thank you for having me. It's been a while, hasn't it?
So here's something that I just need to point out right away, right? When we look at Riz is putting on his like, hello, I am Red Eagle fucking accent, right? This guy is not putting on any voice, but his pattern of speech changes, right? And you're going to hear him in a minute claim that everybody who summons the spirit will see them differently, but there is literally no consistencies when it comes to the methods that these people use. Like, he didn't even like do the ohms, you know?
Miriam of Magdala, and thank you for having me. It's been a while, hasn't it?
It's been a while, hasn't it? No, he's not British. He's just putting on like, he's emphasizing his syllables. Like he's over-pronouncing his words.
Yes, thanks for coming through. We love your energy.
And we love your energy. I
love that she fixes his hair in a way that's probably incredibly natural for him to do. Oh, my keyboard freaked out here. What's going on?
Who you are and who Anthony is. He's certainly growing his hair much longer now. You wish to have a discussion with me?
Yes.
There's a couple things I want to say, first of all.
Okay.
And these first few things are why I wanted to watch the video. We're about to see this spirit tell us why we should have no doubt that this is the true Mary Magdalene.
To your audience.
Alrighty.
Many of you are channeling me at this very moment. However, the way I come through you may be different than the way I come through Renee and Anthony. I don't want you to think that all the information that is being channeled through whomever it is wrong. Remember, each individual, each soul is going to channel my energy in a different way. With you...
So this is where I go with this. I'm actually going to let him finish this sentence, but I have something to say about this.
Renee, and with Anthony, I am able to balance this much easier. You represent...
Why does his breathing sound like it happens in the very back of his throat? Like
the Infinity 8, or the...
Sorry, the Infinity 8? What? That's an infinite. Infinity 8 is like an oxymoron.
The balance between divine feminine and divine masculine energy. There is no mistake why I have come through both of you. And also Yeshua. Again, you're seeing a divine masculine and divine feminine energy again.
Okay, so here's what I have to say about the idea.
Your earth plane is
what the fuck? Here's what I have to say about the idea that, this spirit would come through in different ways with different people. If we grant that this is real, just for a moment, if we say that this is real, right? If we grant that the inconsistencies are down, are down to some instances being real, right? Then how do we start to discern the real channelings, quote unquote real? I'm just going to grant that there are real ones to fake ones, right? How do I discern something as like a unique summoning of a being to somebody just sitting in their room going, you know, how do we distinguish between the two when both people are going to claim that they're doing the same thing, right? This is how you know that this is complete bullshit, right? Because it's literally just useful for there to be no doubt, right? Or for there to be unanswerable doubt, right? Like, well, some are real, some are fake. You just have to know. You just have to believe. You just have to have faith, right? There's no real way for us to tell. This is the usefulness. There's no real way for us to tell which are real and which are fake. Then they would say something like, but if you truly believe and you truly listen to your heart and you truly listen to whatever energies, to the world, to the energies that the world is communicating to you, then you will know what the real from fake is. That's probably the answer that they would give to that. And that's just how you know that this is just complete useful bullshit, right? Like, useful in the sense that it keeps people believing that they know what they're talking about when it comes to this stuff, despite it answering no question at all. Do spirits steal information from your brain so that they can explain it in modern terms? That's the idea. So you had two questions, Hyperion, that I think have a very easy answer for the people who believe in this shit. How do they get channeled by multiple people at the same time? They're higher dimensional beings. How do they steal information? How do they know English? They tap into worldly knowledge. They have access to their timeless otherworldly beings that are beyond time and space, right? So they can just be infinitely powerful. They can manifest in infinite ways, and each of those is justifiable and consistent in the way that they define it, right? What happened to the Library of Alexandria? I don't know. These people would legitimately believe that they have access to the Library of Alexandria through meditation. I mean,
going through that.
I mean, we listened to Riz bring out his fucking Merkaba to travel to the realm of the spirit guides, right?
It is.
My keyboard is so annoying, dude. I use a wireless keyboard, right? So sometimes signals don't get sent right away because of however the latency works. And so I'll press a key and it won't register, and then I'll press another key and then both will register. It's so frustrating.
Balancing both feminine and masculine and feminine energies again, and I'm here to help you do that.
See, dude, I told you guys this at the beginning. The male and female energies, what are they talking about?
I think a lot of people really misunderstood what your role was when you came through and you were part of the Magdalene energy. You once walked the earth plane as Miriam of Magdala, Mary Magdalene over 2,000 years ago. And people don't really understand what your role was. It's been misunderstood and misrepresented. And you often say, as Yeshua does, you came here to shake things up.
That is true. Yeshua, Jesus, as you call
He sounds kind of like Michael Scott. I don't know why.
him. Yeshua and I
He just reminds me a little bit of Michael Scott.
did not come here to create peace. We came here to create turbulence.
The breathing.
And that is what we did.
All right. Okay. So I really just wanted to play that to get to that argument of we might manifest in different people and it's going to be different, just to tackle why that idea is a problem, right? Why them using that as a justification for why differences appear and why inconsistencies appear is a problem, right? Finally explaining who Yeshua SP was. All right. So sorry for that. It's just the way it is. Yeah, exactly. We are going to I'm going to save psychics. I'm going to save the one where the dude is contacting psychics with fake information knowingly. Let's do one of the people who I wanted to look at today. Okay, we're going to do two people. Depends on how much energy I have, how much we're going to get through here. But we're going to look at one person who specifically is making a career off of profiting off of people's trauma. And then we're going to look at somebody else who believes that she is God, basically. So first up, we've got, Matt Fraser. Earlier, I said that there's a sort of psychic media circuit that these people do. And he is somebody who is doing all of these good morning shows, talk shows, Fox and Friends, that kind of stuff. He's getting a lot of notoriety from that. And so he's doing these private Zoom calls with people during COVID to comfort them during their time of need. And so the title of this video that we're looking at right now is called Psychic Medium Solves Son's Death. So people come to this guy like, fuck, man, our son died. We don't know exactly how. Can you help us? And he's like, yeah. And the unfortunate thing is, there's not really anything at stake here because this person is dead. It's mysterious, right? So he just kind of has free reign to be like, yeah, you know, it was actually not a suicide, it was this. Or, yeah, it was actually just him getting stuck in the washing machine and Stepbro didn't come help him out. Like, he can say anything he wants to, and it doesn't matter because this kid's already dead. So this is where the, like, predatory aspect comes from, right? Including transfer energies across Zoom. Yeah, and we saw that too with Bob Larson, who would do exorcisms via Zoom during Corona, right? All right, here we go.
When I'm connecting, the way that it works for me is that I ask for one soul to...
Oh, he's also like super flamboyant, like super flamboyant. It's like part of his like persona, like it's part of the persona he's cultivating.
When I'm connecting, the way that it works for me is that I ask for one soul to step forward, but I can't stop who comes through or who speaks. I'm here and speaking and connecting. And also, when I'm connecting, there's also a child that passed as well. Where was the child that departed?
Yes.
Is that your son that departed?
Yes.
Because he's also here. And this was a tragedy in the way that he had passed here in the physical world, because he's acknowledging that.
You know this guy, Slam? I have never encountered this guy until I started to look into psychic mediums, and he showed up on a bunch of talk shows, and I found his channel. It feels like he moves so quickly into, and then there was this knowledge that I had of a son. There was a son here, wasn't there? It's like he knows, like somebody fed him that information.
And I felt that there was, before he had passed, first of all, there's a lot of things that I have to cover through all of this. So you're going to hear me talking quickly, but I want to get through as much information as I can to you.
He's got like this like thick Central Jersey accent, dude. Yeah, Long Island medium, exactly. There was a son here. There was some kind of tragedy you guys went through. Oh my God. We're going to figure it out. We're going to get to the bottom of this right now.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. I said bottom. I mean bottom. Sorry.
The thing that your son is telling me is that he wants to let you know that there was no way that you could have saved him here in the physical world when I'm connecting with him.
See, like, that's probably something that these motherfuckers are sitting up, like, feeling tortured about endlessly. Like, could we have saved him? Could we have done anything? And he's just like, you know what? I'm going to take advantage of the situation. Son's dead. Hey, you couldn't have done anything. Can you give me $500 now because you feel so good about the things I told you?
He wants to let you know that there was no way that you could have saved him here in the physical world when I'm connecting with him. And he says to me, I need to apologize to my mother for not listening to her. He says, and I have to apologize to my mother for putting myself in harm's way. Do you understand that?
This is where it becomes incredibly sad. This is where it becomes just so fucked up to me. Is like they don't have any sense of remorse, and they talk about being people who are loving, kind, spreading good will and good intentions, and it's just so like there's such scumbags at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Because you would warn him again and again and again and again and again. He says, and my mother was my biggest protector. And he says to me, first of all, you need to know that you were the best mother that you could have possibly been to him. He says, you loved me, you cared for me. He says,
like, is it any coincidence that he's giving her all the affirmations she wants in this? Oh, there's nothing you could have done. You were the best mother ever. He should have listened to you more. He didn't respect his sister enough. Like, we're just going to get a list of everything these people want to hear.
But you need to stop beating yourself up. He says, because you beat yourself up again and again and again, and you look back on your life and you think, well, maybe if I did things differently, maybe my son would still be here.
Okay, so the way that they're looking right now, like if you look right here, when they switch back after he says this, it looks like they're having a moment of clarity or realization, right?
And you look back on your life and you think, well, maybe if I did things differently, maybe my son would still be here.
See, like they're both kind of reacting like, oh my God, the things that he's saying resonate so deep. But the reason that they're resonating so deep is because this motherfucker talks to 20 or 30 people a day who are going through this stuff, and grief manifests in certain kinds of trends. There's certain ways of it manifesting that are more common than others, right? And if you're a mother and your son dies early, there might be certain parts of that that are common to that experience, like feeling regret, feeling like there's more you could have done, feeling like you didn't interfere enough, right? Feeling like they didn't get to live the life they wanted to. Like, there's probably a lot of commonalities there that you, as somebody who does this, can just kind of rely on to paint this picture. And so you get a sentence like this that hits them so hard, where it's like, yeah, I do beat myself up, but it's like, that's probably something that a lot of moms, unfortunately, people who lose their children early, it's probably something that a lot of them go through. And again, it's just so fucked up that somebody's taking advantage of people in this position.
Yeah, I do that all the time.
You need to stop doing that, please. Your son is begging me, because he says to me, you deserve your life back because you were too good of a mother, he says, to ever have to suffer over me. He says, I'm the one that needed to change, not you.
I wonder if to these people this actually sounds like her son? If she was wondering all of these things, like, wouldn't it be because it wouldn't be clear if her son would say these things or not? I wonder if this sounds like her son to her, or if she's just like, this sounds so correct that I can't call it into question. I'm willing to put money that it's the latter.
And that's what he's telling me. He says to me that the two of you used to get into full-on fights here in this world. He also tells me at one time you asked him to leave the house, or you pushed him out of the house. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
And listen, I know this is hard to talk about, and I know that these are hard things, but your son is saying to me that I regret, he says, not listening and not paying attention. He says, because you gave me chance after chance after chance, and you gave me opportunity.
So how could he know that the mom felt like the son had not taken the opportunity to change things or listen to her advice? Probably due to the circumstances of the death. You can just look this shit up. Maybe the kid died in like a motorcycle accident without a helmet, or drunk driving, or something, where it might say to somebody reading that obituary that this might not have just been a one-off, and it could have been a part of a larger pattern of behavior that ultimately manifested in this kid's death, right? That's what I suspect is happening here, right? Not that he has access to some special realm of knowledge, but just that he's reading the obituaries and putting together very common pieces of information that he knows people in this situation will experience, right?
And your heart knows that. And your heart has to heal. But listen, you go over his passing all the time. And listen, when you say, oh my God, I shouldn't have been so hard on him. Oh my God, I shouldn't have done this. Oh, I should have just talked to him this way, or I shouldn't have said this, or I shouldn't have told that, or maybe me saying this.
Everyone has regrets. Regrets aren't unique. Everyone has regrets like this. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. Maybe I should have done that differently. No matter who you are, no matter if you've lost somebody or not, you could say to somebody, I bet there are things in your relationship with this person that you regret or wish you did differently. You could say that to everybody. Yeah, homeboy is a toolbox. Yeah, he's the Swiss Army knife of cold readings. He's like, oh, son died tragically. You put pressure on yourself as a mother. You have to provide. You call yourself into question. He's just like pulling out all the tools and just seeing what cuts the best.
Caused him to do this. Listen, that's not your son talking to you. Those are not your thoughts. That is not guilt. That is grief.
Yeah.
And your son is coming through to alleviate. He says, I never want you to.
He kind of admits the game right there, actually. He kind of admits the game right there when he says that's grief, right? Like, he knows, and he's making it clear that he knows the patterns of grief. Sort of gave up the game right there.
Think about that again, ever. But the reason why you're grieving is because of this reason. It's because you knew your son better than anybody else. You knew what he was going to do, what he was going to say, where he was going to go. You knew when he was lying. You knew when he was telling the truth.
Yeah, that sounds like my son. That's literally any mother.
And when my
Literally any mother who's involved in their son's life, I will say.
mother wasn't sure, he said she would come after me. She would check with different people, and you'd be fact-checking. Like, he shows me you're like CNN. Like, you were like fact-checking him all the time and being like, was my son here, here, and here? Did he tell you?
Do you mean like where is he looking in these scenes? I bet he's just like, yeah, I bet he's just kind of like, it's either something that's like reminding him of what he needs to know or like the talking points that he's got, or it's just like a habit because he's in his room and he's not talking to real people in front of him. It happens to me all the time. It's hard for me to constantly keep my eyes on your eyes, which is technically my lens, because I've got so much other stuff happening, you know. And I bet it's similar for him. He's got a little studio here, right? She's grieving because she's a mom who lost her kid, who she had a relationship with. I think we got to add that caveat on the end, because it's not every mother who would be this involved in their child's life, but it is a mom who's involved in their child's life. So then there's certain trends and certain expectations that we might have about that grieving process, right?
Whatever. Do you remember that?
And she used to tell on him all the time.
So know that your son is saying to me, listen, you need to let it go. He says, because...
You know, I thought at first he might talk a little bit about the sister and what the sister is experiencing, but I think he has so little to go on when it comes to what the sister might be experiencing that he's just not willing to touch that. He's like, I know what mom's probably going through. I don't know what the sister's going through. Until she gives me an indicator, I can only talk about what mom is going through, right? So the messaging so far has exclusively been towards mom, even though if this was the son, wouldn't he also want to say something to his sister who's right there? Like, who seems to care about him, who's crying about him, right?
The one who's also suffering is his sister, is you.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Because he's
going to take some guesses, though.
telling me that he wants the two of you to be able to have happiness. And it's
Oh, okay. That's just generic. He just wants you guys to have happiness. Okay.
so hard because there's not a day that goes by when something happens in your daughter's life or happens within your family and you think to yourself, oh my God, I wish my son was here for this. I wish
he moves back to the son. I really thought we were about to get like some sort of like attempt at cold reading the sister there. But all he said was, your sister, you feel sad because your brother's gone, and then moved back to the mom. Like, that's it. He just saw that the sister was crying, was like, and you're going through it too. And he knows that. And that's why you're experiencing this, mom.
he was a part of this. He says, I am there with you every single day.
My other daughter, Bethany, is suffering really hard with this too. She got trouble letting it go.
Well, I'm telling you, you might talk about your kids, but your son's telling me that you're having the hardest time because he tells me that it's been hard for you to even to want to celebrate holidays or to celebrate get-togethers. He says, and my mother even debated putting up a Christmas tree or celebrating Christmas.
None of this is unique. None of these things are unique. I'm sure if there was anybody who experienced a death around major holidays, they would be reluctant to carry them out as normal. This is not something that's like, wow, he really knows that, like, this, he really knows my mom, and he really knows the knowledge that he otherwise couldn't predict, right? Like, none of this actually speaks to that.
To celebrate get-togethers. He says, and my mother even debated putting up a Christmas tree or celebrating Christmas. And your son says to me, there's an ornament of his, or there's an ornament that you have on the tree in memory of him.
Oh, shit. Okay, that felt like the first really specific thing that he said. I wonder where that's coming from.
He says, yeah. I want you, he says, to still celebrate and enjoy life. Enjoy it with one another. And you have a question for me today. And your question is you want to know how he had died or what had happened that day. Yeah. And I am going to answer that for you right now.
Oh, God, here we go, dude. Jesus Christ, man. This is where it's like, I think it's not, I don't know. Is it harmful? What do you guys think? Before we get into this, do you think it's harmful for him to do what he did? Do you think it's harmful for him to provide comfort for the mother by claiming that he can talk to the son? Or is it fine because it helps her reach a sense of closure? Or is it not fine because it's on false pretenses, right? I'm wondering what you guys would think. Because for me, I'm on the fence, right? It's like, well, it helps her. It's not really gonna... I can't see how it would hurt her in the future. It's predatory as fuck. Because he's making money off of it. She's vulnerable. She believes in what he's saying. But if she has the money, let's presume that she's not starving for it. Is this harmful? Is this hurtful? He touched on the Christmas tree ornament. She's a dummy. I'm wondering how he knew the ornament detail. Like, there had to have been something that was leaked in his direction about that. I think the harm is just providing a sense of understanding to somebody that's built on false pretenses, right? It doesn't allow her to truly find closure. It gives her a very surface level sense of closure and finality to all this. That could be completely wrong. Like, what if she finds out later on what the true circumstances of his death were, and it's nothing like what we're actually about to hear, right? So I think that could be the harm, is just building up an understanding on false pretenses that leads to a false understanding, right? Or building up an understanding on false pretenses that leads to a false, that's circular as fuck. That leads to I guess just the pretense leads to a false understanding, and that's the problem. That's all I really mean. I wouldn't call her dumb. I would think she's a woman who's grieving, who is willing to take sign for comfort. Yeah, exactly. I think the same thing, but she's also very quick to believe it just based on hearing like one thing, right? Just like, oh, Christmas ornament, that's him, you know? Yeah, I think that's what you're speaking to, Slam Bars, right? Is like she has a lack of critical thinking, that she's like she's not using her critical mind at all. That's kind of like, I do sort of hold that out against her too, because it's like, Hyperion, like, even if she wasn't grieving, I have a feeling that she'd be the type of person to believe in this sort of thing, right? I don't think that just because she's grieving, she's seeking out closure from a psychic, right? There might be some people who are like that, though, who otherwise wouldn't be in this situation, but because they had a friend who was like, hey, go talk to this person, they might do it. You don't know her, so I can't assume. Well, the reason that I feel like we're not just assuming is because we're literally watching her go into tears because somebody mentioned a Christmas ornament, right? And like, we've watched throughout the night people listen to like one selective piece of evidence and formulate a much larger picture on false pretenses. So I feel like we do have a bit more of an educated guess as to whether or not she operates with criticality around this, right? It's not like we're just looking at some random person. We're looking at a trend and a pattern. And in order for this to even have the momentum that it does, it requires people to lack criticality, right? We've even just talked about the most basic levels of criticality tonight and shown that the people who subscribe to these ideas don't possess those, like just questioning the inconsistencies, right? You don't entirely agree, but shrugs. I mean, I don't think it's an issue to say that somebody lacks criticality in this regard, right? I think it just depends on whether or not that like devalues them to somebody, right? Or the way they look at them. But for me, I think it's just a matter of fact at this point. Like, it's not necessarily a total like condemnation of her character, obviously, but I think it is there. I think it is present. You could be on the losing end. I mean, we don't necessarily know for sure whether or not she is critical. I mean, Hyperion is right? But I think the problem that Hyperion has, and I could be wrong, but I think the problem that Hyperion has is the idea that a lack of criticality equals dumb, or equals stupid. But when I say dumb or stupid, I typically am not giving a condemnation of a character, but just a way of thinking. So I think it's a stupid way of thinking. I wouldn't necessarily say she's a stupid person. Yeah, exactly. That's what I figured. Yeah. But yeah, I think in the way that Slam and I use dumb here, it's not to say she is dumb, it's to say this is dumb. Right? And I think we can all agree that this is dumb, right? Does that make sense, Hyperion? Anyways, that's my thinking on it.
Because your son is telling me when I'm connecting, first of all, he's taking responsibility for this when I'm connecting with him. Do you understand that? He says, and there's been many different stories over what happened and what had taken place or what had gone on. But your son tells me that he was under the influence at the time of his departure. And he says to me that there were substances and things that he had taken and things that he had done, and he's bringing this through. And at one point, I don't know, because he's also telling me that...
Notice this. If this was truly the son, wouldn't the son be able to say what substances they were? Not just that he was under the influence. Wouldn't he say, I was drinking, I was doing X, Y, or Z? The fact that it's so vague says to me that, what's his name? Fraser? What's his name? Matt Fraser. It says to me that he's leaving it deliberately vague. So in case in the future some evidence comes to light that shows what those substances are, he's still correct. So if he said drinking and later on a toxicology report comes out, I don't know how, that says that it was, pills or something like that, then he's wrong, right? But since he just said substances, no matter what substance it is, he's correct. The fast talking and the accent add to it. I agree with that, yeah.
That his head was affected. So I don't know if he slipped and fell or if he hit his head. Do you understand that? And
he fell off the train.
He fell off a train.
Yeah. He was hopping trains, and he was, and I've always wondered if he was pushed or if he had fallen. And that was the one question I wanted to know.
I will answer this question for you, but you have to promise me.
I'm kind of scared what it would have meant if he was pushed. Like, would mom have sought revenge? Like that, she kind of scared me when she said that a little bit.
Even me, I want you to promise your son right here and now that you were going to start living your life and you're going to start feeling happiness again. Because you said before this reading, if I find out how my son had passed and I get an answer, then I will be able to let this go.
So I gave you an answer, so now let it go. Never question it again. I gave you closure. Money, please.
And letting go, listen to me. Letting go does not mean that you let go of him. Letting go means that you let go of the hurt and the pain that you've been carrying because you're carrying this for way too long. Your son says to me it was an accident. He says, I was having fun. He says, I was jumping the trains. He said, I was not pushed. He was not.
Okay.
Well, okay, but before, he was answering the question of whether he was above the influence or not. But now he's saying it's about being pushed. Like, once she clarified that that's what she wanted to know, not the substance stuff, he changed his tune. He no longer spoke about being under the influence and only spoke about, like, being, not being pushed. Like, oh my God. It's so obvious, but because these people are in such an emotionally charged state, they wouldn't be able to comb through this in this fashion, right? Do train hoppers put you? Yeah, no, I think they're a tight-knit group too. Pretty sure that there are conflicts among people who train hop, and someone could have pushed him. Okay, I never knew that about train hoppers. I thought that, yeah, they pretty much knew each other, but I guess like there could be turf wars. Yeah, maybe. How do you guys know so much about train hoppers? That's like a part of homeless culture that I've never really gotten into. Like, I guess it's crust punk culture, right? Because it's not typically actual homeless people. It's usually like elected homeless people, right? Am I correct on that? I guess I just don't. That's a world I don't know enough about.
Thank you.
He tells me he grew up playing on trains, that he grew up doing this. This was something that they used to do. He says, and he did not realize that this was going to kill him or that he would be affected in this way. But he says that he was doing things. He says, I was under the influence and I had passed. He said,
They found a bottle of vodka there on the train with him and someone else. So that makes a lot of sense. Interesting.
I might seek that out, to be honest. I like little what do you call them? I guess little like lenses into people's lives that like documentaries can provide us, even though most of the time it's just like, narrative garbage.
Your son says to me,
Diary in the life, okay.
And I'm sorry. He says, but what I can let you know, he says, is that the moment that he passed, he did not feel a thing. He shows me the hitting of the head, and the next thing you know, he shows me him being in heaven.
I just have to point out again how perfect the story is for them, right? Like, their son, who they're unsure of the circumstances around his death, died instantly. It was an accident. He was above the influence. He's happy now. He wants mom to be happy now. He wants sister to be happy now. Everything is perfect and picturesque. And it's like, I feel that that's always what we would hear. And when I was younger, that's what I would hear too. When you would listen to that show, Crossing Over, again, I can't remember who made that show, but when you would listen to that motherfucker talk, it was like, they want you to know that they're at peace. They want you to know that they're surrounded by people who love them, right? And bring that sense of closure to people. I've never heard one of these psychics be like, they're pissed off at you, like, and they feel that you caused their death. I've never heard that. And I think that the reason for that is just because they're literally telling these people what they want to hear. And these people just believe it without any kind of criticality, right? John Edward. Yep. Thank you. Crossing Over with John Edward.
And being fine. He says, I didn't feel anything. He says, so I want you to know that I'm here. And there's one other thing. Your son tells me that you're looking at his picture right now.
It's right there.
Yo, so no, he went deep in that one. He was like, all right, I'm going to take a risk. I'm going to take a shot. He's telling me you're looking at his picture right now. Well, there's a picture over there in the other room. Yeah. So we are looking at it right now. Yes. Jesus Christ, man. It's called Hobo. You can watch the full version on YouTube's. All right, sweet. Thank you.
So that when you were glancing over, when we were doing this and you were saying, you know, come through, and you were talking to him, he says, I heard you. He says, so I want you to be able to heal. I want you to know that I love you, and I want you to know that I am at peace. Okay?
Thank you so much. You've answered the 2 questions I had.
Well, listen, I'm so glad that this helped you. And all I want is for you to know that, listen, you don't need me. You really don't. You know, I deliver these messages from your loved ones. But look at how, this is what I love. Look at how.
Here's a big difference between this guy and other psychic mediums that we saw tonight. The two that were more like Kundalini Merkaba types believed that everybody had this ability and it was up to you to tune into that. This dude seems to believe that he has a unique ability that most people don't, and that it's his responsibility to use that ability. There's a little bit of a difference there, right? And this guy also feels like a lot more of a grifter. He appears in the media circuit. He goes on these like daytime morning shows and shit like that to prove to people, quote unquote, prove to people that he has this ability. So he has something to sell, right? It's just it's a difference that I'm just noticing right now. I don't really know what it means exactly. It might just mean that on the one hand, the spiritual people are trying to convince themselves of a reality that they believe in, right? And this guy is just trying to convince other people that he has access to that reality, right? He doesn't care about his own belief in it. Where I bet Riz and that couple that we saw on the couch probably want to believe in it more too, right? He's fancy. That is true regardless, yes.
How I see Amber and Mary crying over there. They got the tissues and everything. You got a little bit of the Tammy Faye you got to wipe. But, you know, this is why I love these events, is because, you know, we can all feel the pain that we're all going through, but we can also heal at the same time. And
I hope it does, Hyperion. I hope you can do, like, talk show media circuits and, like, tell people very, very basic truths about themselves or about the trauma they're experiencing and get millions. Like, that would be sick if you could just be like, so you're probably feeling really lost and scared right now, and you probably don't know exactly how to proceed. I just want you to know that you will figure it out. That would be so sick, dude. How did you know that? Well, I'm a psychologist. Oh, boring. Oh, you tell me it's a ghost. If you told me it's a ghost, oh, dude. Psychology.
you know that one of the things that your son is saying, your son wants you to know that he loves you, he cares about you. He says, and it's okay for you to start living your life now.
I have one question about the lamp.
About it going on and off.
Yeah.
You want to know if it was him. It's him.
Okay. It's a touch lamp. When I'm really sad, I come home sometimes and I'll walk in my room and it's on, and I always like to just think that maybe it's him.
Oh, it absolutely is. And it's his way of saying, Mom, it's me. Mom, I'm here. Mom, I'm with you.
Oh, see, that's just so sad. Oh man, dude, that's just so sad, dude. This is sad.
It goes on all the time.
Listen, I really hope that this helped you today, and I really hope that this.
You have
I
no
really
idea
hope.
how wonderful this is. Thank you so much for tonight, and I appreciate your gift. Thank you.
I kind of want to look into more and see if he does the same thing for everybody. But I think we got a good taste of what Matt is like from this. Now, it's so unfortunate because time is short for me on these days because I have to like, basically 9 is a hard deadline almost because I want to feed my cats and get ready for bed. Like 9:30, I guess I can push it, but I'm trying to think right now what would be the ideal order. Here's another one. Yeah, see, like I found another one of his videos that's called Suicide or Overdose. Psychic medium reading uncovers truth. I feel like it's just going to be more of the same. It's just going to be him telling the people that, the most comforting possible thing he could tell them, right? Here's him going on a TV show convincing a news anchor that he's real. So I kind of want to just look at this really quick. I think this is a good one. Why did it auto mod for rednecks? What the fuck? That's hilarious. All right, let's go.
Well, he calls himself a medium with a message. Matt Fraser is on a mission, using his unique gift to connect those who have passed with the loved ones they have left behind.
Matt joins us today, and let me begin with this. You know, this is absolutely a phenomenon, and I'm a skeptic. I'm a person who has always said that, man, that's not real.
Did he just, what was that sentence? This is absolutely a phenomenon.
With the loved ones they have left behind.
Is that what he said?
Matt joins us today, and let me begin with this. You know, this is absolutely a phenomenon.
What does that mean? What is that? That literally means zero.
And I'm a skeptic. I'm a person who has always said that, man, that's not real. And I'm sure that you come into contact with a lot.
I think he has a t-shirt underneath the sweater, but it's like a deep, it's not a V-neck, it's like a deep U-neck.
What do you say to the person that just does not believe that this is real?
Well, first of all, I think everybody's a skeptic. I think they walk into events or to a psychic medium being skeptical, especially somebody who's never.
No. Nope. You get people who are skeptical, and then you get people who want to believe immediately.
Had an experience before. I've never had a reading from a psychic medium. And one of the things is that I tell people, come to my events. I love the skeptical ones. And more importantly, when I'm doing a group reading or a live event, it's always amazing that it's usually the skeptics.
You did say that about the dimples earlier. Yeah, just get dimples, your camera ready, say nice thing to people, millions of dollars.
Skeptics who get read or who get a message, and it can be life-changing for them. Having an experience,
just constantly talk through smiles, and you will get your way.
Connecting with somebody who had passed.
Is that how it works? Should I just start streaming? All right, you guys. Today we're gonna do something really cool. We're gonna be watching some videos about dumbasses who believe in psychics. Is that how it works? That's the secret sauce.
Passed on one of their relatives or close friends or whoever it may be. It's incredible to see how this person walks in and they're like, is this real? And then next thing you know, we're sitting there, crying as they're connecting with their mother or their father or their sister or whoever it is that had passed on.
Now, speaking of
I'll let him continue. Fuck it. I was going to say something. Fuck it. I'll get a better chance.
What was it like for you when you first came into discovering the power that you had at such a young age?
Because you were young, right? Little.
Yeah, I was about 4 years old, and I was petrified. I mean, I was that boy from The Sixth Sense. I was in my room at night, literally seeing and hearing the departed in my bedroom, and I was petrified. I was that boy, pulling the covers over my head because I didn't want to hear the spirits. I didn't want to see dead people, and, yelling for my mom to come and to help me because of the fact that I was so afraid, and I was seeing and experiencing things that to me at the time was frightening, and more importantly, that I really just couldn't explain.
So how did he not end up in some kind of insane asylum or psych ward? How did he avoid that reality? Like, there's no way that he was able to bring this up with the adults around him and they were like, oh, you're special, you're psychic, there's no need to worry about the fact that you're staying up at night seeing things like this. I don't need to worry that my 5-year-old son thinks he's seeing dead ghosts manifesting in his room at night. No, That just means you're special. Congratulations, honey. Like, what the fuck? All he does is work out and go to gay bars? I mean, I don't think we need to ride on his sexuality too much, you know? Like, it's just, he's flamboyant. We also don't know that he's gay. He's just hyper fucking flamboyant. Like, I don't know that I've met somebody this flamboyant in my life who wasn't gay, but I can see it. I don't know, man. The dude is just like, the dude is sunshine embodied. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's all we can say conclusively. Like, his personality is just trying to be like a ray of sunshine bursting through the room, you know?
So was this something that, did other people in your family have it? Are you the first person in your family?
Yes, so it actually started with my grandmother. She had this gift. It actually started, you know, back in the 60s, 70s or whatnot, but it was kept so secret back then that my grandmother, you know, didn't even tell her husband. That's how secret it was. It was only done for close friends and family members.
Yeah, I mean, like, I wasn't gonna, like, really go into it, but there's not just straight and gay, right? Like, he could be bisexual, he could be pansexual, he could be asexual, he could be aromantic, he could be, what do you call it, demi-romantic? Like, there's so many things that he could be that, like, I guess demi-romantic doesn't really matter for who he might be attracted to, right? But yeah, it's like we have no, it's not even worth it to consider that. But he is incredibly flamboyant, and I think to any chud motherfucker who sees this person will think immediately think of like old school stereotypes for gay people, right? There's actually straight dudes out there who talk more feminine because they grew up around mostly women. Found out that during a documentary. That's I've never heard that. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I care more about like the fact that he's like convincing people that like he has special knowledge that they don't have access to, right? And like creating and shaping their inner reality so that they can deal with grief.
Passed on to my mom. My mom had this gift as well. So then when I was, you know, growing up.
Oh, so his mom was just like, oh, you're like me. You're okay, great. Thanks, Mom. Oh my God.
When I was just 4 or 5 years old, seeing The Departed and hearing them, it was kind of normal. My mother would be coming in, I'm crying because I'm seeing dead people in my room. And my mother's on the side of me going, what are they saying to you? Who is it? Is it your grandmother? Talk to them.
Right.
That sounds like a really healthy household. That sounds like a really healthy household, doesn't it? Holy shit, dude.
And here I am.
He's lucky that he wasn't like, oh, he's lucky he got out of that okay.
I'm like, no, you know, I'm pulling the covers because
scary.
It was scary,
Right.
exactly.
And so you kind of pushed this aside for a while, right? And then when you became an EMT later on, because you want to help people, right?
Absolutely. I always felt a strong connection with people, and I love.
How does a motherfucker who sees dead people at night to the extent that his mom is asking him to talk to his grandmother, like, I want to help people, I'm going to go be an EMT. This is the thing. It's like, if this were real, your first thought would be, I need to help people contact their dead ones. You wouldn't be like, I'm going to be an EMT. Oh, I guess that's not paying as much as I thought. I'm going to be a superstar celebrity psychic now. Like,
working with people, and I always wanted to do something, you know, to help others. So I actually started my career as an EMT working for the World Trade Center in Boston. I worked for the Security Operations Department. And then what really happened was I went to see
sorry, you're not from Boston, homie. You're from Central Jersey. You can't convince me otherwise.
a medium myself after, you know, building up enough courage.
You're right, too. He is very much trying to control the conversation. He's been talking for 2.5 minutes about just his life.
To look back into my own psychic ability. And when that had happened, it was amazing because I realized at that point it wasn't something to be afraid of. It was actually a gift that I could use to help people to heal.
Right.
So it kind of changed. It changed from helping people on the physical level to then helping people on the emotional level by putting them back in touch with their loved ones that have passed on.
Now talking about helping people, help us understand the difference between a psychic medium or just a psychic. Is there a difference between the two?
Yes, there is. So a psychic is somebody that you'd probably see who reads cards or reads people's energy, where a medium is somebody who communicates with the other side. And the way that I like to explain it is that the way that
the other side.
I get my information is that it doesn't just come through the ear. Is that there's somebody in spirit on the other side of life that's providing that information to me.
Right.
So when I connect with somebody on the other side, a lot of times I like to believe that our loved ones who have passed on can see tomorrow so much more clearly than we can see today.
Yeah.
So what is obvious here is that the other side, as he defines it, is different from like the spirit world as those other people who think of like the spirits as like ascended beings, right? Like it's just a completely different reality. What he's talking about sounds so much more like a typical Judeo-Christian understanding of like purgatory or something like that, compared to this like realm of ascended masters who know how to who have transcended into light beings, right? Like it's just completely different, and it's just another one of those inconsistencies that just calls all of this into question. It's just like, what the fuck are you guys convincing yourselves of here? Oh, that's hilarious. You can see the cat fight happening behind, the cat brawl. All right, let's keep going.
So a lot of times they can see, you know, when we're going to get married, who's going to be within our life, you know, new houses that we're going to buy, new job changes, careers. So they'll tell me, you know, oh, I see my daughter doing this if it's a mother who's talking, or a father who's telling me, you know, that's going to be his daughter's birthday, or things like that. And I hear that on the other side, and that's how I get my information.
All right, we're going to have you stick around. This is the moment of truth right now for the skeptic, especially. Matt is going to stick around. He's going to do a reading for Michael and I next. You don't want to.
So these people, in my opinion, are doing as much harm as that other girl, I can't remember, like Skylife or whatever, who platformed Riz, right? Like, they ask them, like, what do you say to somebody who's skeptical? Tell us your story, but don't question it any further. Just allow him to have a platform to spew his bullshit. Anybody who's listening who believes in it is going, yeah, this guy knows what he's talking about. I understand and trust this guy. But the anchors aren't stepping back in to provide a strong counter narrative to show what the other side of that might be, right? So in a way, they're platforming him in a very similar way to, like, it reminds me of like Dave Rubin back in 2016 when he was doing like the Minority Report, and he would bring on very, very far right reactionary voices all the time and kind of like nod and smile when they're talking and laugh and joke with them when they're talking about more progressive ideologies and ways of thinking, but then never really platforming anybody else or never really providing a counter narrative to the beliefs of the people that he's platforming. It's exactly the same thing here. And what ends up happening is people are just going to confirm their biases going into this. So somebody who's skeptical walks out skeptical. Somebody who walks in open-minded, quote-unquote open-minded, walks out of there believing that he is the real deal, right?
And we are back with renowned psychic medium, Matt Fraser. Thanks for staying.
Yeah, it's exactly like a Joe Rogan podcast. Exactly. It's like, yeah, we want to be skeptical and open-minded, so we're going to listen to the person who is like spinning the most misinformation out there because we're open-minded, but we're not going to push back against it. Instead, we're going to talk about how likely it is, right? And who's to say Matt didn't do a hot reading before he came on set? Yeah, true.
Around with us a little bit.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
All right, so let this part begin. I know we're both like all morning. We've just been like a little nervous, very vulnerable. That's what it is. I was trying to put my finger on what was making me so nervous. It's being vulnerable. I think that's what it is. So you start with him, and I'll just be over here.
Okay, so then what happens is when I first walk into a room, being a medium, I'm always hearing the departed. It's just a part of who I am. So when I actually walked into the room, I actually heard of a young male who had departed. So do you connect with that?
Yes.
And you passed in tragedy here in the physical world.
Yes.
And I felt as though it was like a brother to you, but he showed me friendship. So the two of you are close friends here in the physical?
Very close, yeah. He moved with me.
Okay, wait a minute. Don't tell me anything.
All right.
Know that one of the things that...
So knowing that this dude is experiencing some sadness because somebody who was close to him moved away doesn't sound like privileged knowledge that nobody would have. That sounds like knowledge that almost everyone who knows this motherfucker would have.
He's explaining because he just said to me that he wanted to be able to reach you. He tells me about the fact...
Like, you could have easily had a conversation with, like, one of the interns, like, oh, how's everything going lately? And they'll be like, yeah, no, like, you could be like, oh, I noticed that he's kind of grumpy. Is he in a good mood? And the intern could be like, oh, he's going through a rough time right now. Like, there could have been some conversation that happened that just gave that insight, like, very naturally, and in a way where when it gets brought up later, people wouldn't be like, oh, I remember you got this information. They'd be like, oh, we've never even talked about this. How do you know it? He seems like he's already put his hands on him. Is that how he does it? He touches people and then he learns about their life story. These are TV personalities, so I'm even less likely to believe him. Oh yeah, 100%. 100%.
that you were so close, but there was distance between the two of you, that you lost touch with one another. Yeah. And then next thing you know, you had found out that the two of you went on very different paths within life. Because he said to me that he did things that he was not proud of here in this world. And he talks about the way that you had found out the news unexpectedly about his passing. Yeah. And he says that he's sorry for the way.
So let's imagine you're Matt, and you're going to go onto a TV show, right, to prove that you are worth the money people give you, right? What do? Do you go in there completely cold and saying, well, I can treat this like I treat, I don't know, maybe a group reading or something, and just kind of throw fish hooks out there and see who picks up on something? Or do you think that he did a little bit of research, a cursory bit of research, to just find out that this dude's brother had died and that they had a bit of tension in their relationship before the death? That doesn't seem like it's out of the realm of expectation that he was able to gather that from either his colleagues, people who tangentially know him. Like, you would obviously go in when the stakes are this high with that idea in mind. Like, oh, he's got a brother, I'm gonna play that up. It's so fucking obvious, dude. This poor news anchor does seem very uncomfortable. I agree. He's like, yo, I didn't want you to bring this up. Like, I feel like he just really is caught off guard right now.
That you had gone and that you had found out. He says that you still wish or think about that you wish that you'd have known some of the things that he was going through, because he tells me about the way that he was.
Yeah, I agree, Hyperion. You're right. He's just kind of like, just whatever, man. Yep, sure.
Was having some issues with family and within his own life. And he tells me about the fact that he was going to, I keep hearing him living with different people or going to live with others. Do you understand that?
Yes.
He says, I could not find my...
He lit up there. He lights up whenever he gives him information that he somehow believes he couldn't have known that, right? So it's like, how could he have known that he lived with multiple people? Guaranteed he just heard a story somewhere. These aren't hard facts to pick up on.
Way within life. He says, and you...
If he said some shit like, and he had a wart on his left butt cheek, then like, okay, now you're talking about specific knowledge that probably nobody had, right? Also, I guess it would be kind of weird for his brother to know that. But you get what I'm saying, right? Like, the spirit could so fucking easily be like, yo, our secret handshake when we were kids was this. Or like, yo, our favorite game to play was this. Like, very fucking easy, right? But it always remains with these, like, levels of information that, like, we could easily gather from just conversation with other people. I want to see him grab an ornament and smash it on the bro guy's head. Like, from the tray there. I wonder if he'll be like, and you had a special ornament like he did in the last one.
I still wonder if you would have called him or if you would have reached out to him or had communication with him if things would have been different. He says that one of the things is that he wanted to come through and say to you today was about the fact that you did not change or could not have changed anything that went on within his life. Oh. He says that he wants to take responsibility for that. He tells me about the fact that, and I'm sorry to bring up some personal things, but he tells me that there was some drugs and alcohol that was involved. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
And he says to me that he was not in his right mind many of the times of what was going on. He actually tells me there was a little bit of relationship issues or some relationship problems that he was going through. Yeah. He says, my life was a mess. He says, and I want to let you know that I always knew that you were there. He says, and I always knew, he says, that I could reach out to you or connected. He says, but I had too much pride. He says, I didn't want you to have to worry about me. He says, and more importantly, he tells me that you found out afterwards that he would check up on you or look through some of the things that you were doing and how well that you were doing. Because he says to me, even on the other side, he's like a guardian angel that's there and watching over you.
How fast does this spirit talk that Matt can gather all this and parrot it back instantly, dude? Like, holy shit, man. He memorized this. He clearly fucking memorized this, man. There's so many points that he's hitting in such a small amount of time. We don't talk like this, right? Like, the spirit, as otherworldly as they are, is still human in the way that they're conceiving of it. We don't speak like this unless we're writing something down and editing it and cutting out the fluff. Nobody is this dense with their language. You know what I mean? We're basically getting like 5 facts within like 2 sentences, you know? Matt would not be a good therapist. You wouldn't constantly be pushing things. Yeah, for sure. He has like what he tries to do he would not be a good therapist because he's motivated to just make people feel happy. Like, he's not motivated to, like, help them and listen to them. He's just motivated to, like, make them feel better about stuff. He does talk as fast as I do when I've read from a script in class presentations. Right, like, he's going for it. He's speaking so quickly that it just sounds, curated. It doesn't sound like this would be, like, off the cusp from the spirit, right?
Oh, that's good. That's good.
And I want to step forward with you as well, because I just felt, and your grandmother departed, and your dad passed as well.
Yes.
So no, it's their way of acknowledging that they're on the other side, because I felt like you know, your dad trying to come through, but I felt there was a grandmother there almost like pushing him away, because she's very high energy as I'm connecting with her. And she shows me about the fact that when I'm connecting, she was almost like a homemaker here in the physical world, because she's showing me like running around and like cleaning everything as I'm connecting. Do you understand about her personality? Like, she was up very early in the morning.
Also, okay, here's a question that I'm just coming to now is, like, why do the dead people who hang out around these people only get limited to, like, 2 generations? Like, why do we never see, like, the, like, cave people they were related to? You know what I mean? Like, it's only, like, your dad, your grandmother. It's never, like, your great-grandmother or your great-aunt. Or I guess it is if it's, like, it was literally somebody's grandmother's fucking godmother when it was Riz, right? A woman from the mid-1900s being a homemaker. Yeah, and, like, again, like, the information he's gathering just feels like you could easily know these people. Like, they're probably very involved with their community if they're, like, local news anchors. Like, you could easily just know these people and be like, yeah, her mom and her grandmother died a while back. Like,
She spent time, like, I feel like she's rearranging heaven as I'm talking to her, like, moving everything around.
Yes.
She tells me that when she was passing, there was multiple issues that were going on within her body.
Right.
Because she tells me about the way that I feel it right in my chest as I'm connecting with her. She also tells me that one of the things that she wants you to know is about the whole family's on the other side and watching over you. She talks about a move. Did you just move? Perfect. So now it's her way of just congratulating you on the new house.
yeah, because that's not something that you could easily know. Literally everything he's used to confirm that he's somebody who's connecting with these people has been stuff that's easy to look up. You have a dead brother. He struggled with drugs. He moved around a lot, right? You have a dead grandmother, father. She was a homemaker in the mid-1900s. And what did he just say? I lost my train of thought.
She talks about a move. Did you just move?
So you just moved, right? Like, literally everything is just these easy things to learn about from the people who are around you who just mildly pay attention to your life, right?
Move. Perfect. So now it's her way of just congratulating you on the new house or the new place of living and letting you know that she's there. She's pushing your dad forward to speak as well, because your dad wants you to let you know about how much that he loves you, and more importantly, about the way that you talk to him all the time. He tells me about the car conversations where you're talking to him in the car.
Okay, so conveniently, the other dude's, like, brother just stopped talking. He doesn't care anymore. He's, like, giving space to give out this message. And I love how the spirits are considerate of media airtime as well. Like, they're considerate enough to give him this message quickly so that he can spit it out within the time that he has on air, right? Like, so dumb.
Either when you're on your work or on the way to work, and you connect with him with, like, pennies, dimes, nickels, quarters. Because he just said to me, he says, that's our sign with one another.
It is cool. We play cards with, like, quarters and...
Oh, you did? And did you find them, or did you find them after your dad's passing and say this was him?
I feel like this dude is still skeptical. It's tough. I feel like, yeah, he does kind of look mad at the producers. I feel like he's still skeptical.
Yes, yeah.
Perfect, because he says to me that he wants you to know that. So know when you got those different things that wasn't coincidence. That's your dad's way of letting you know.
I'm looking at his left hand. Or his right hand. Look at it.
Oh, you did? And did you find them, or did you find them after your dad's passing and say this was him?
Yes, yeah.
Perfect, because he says to me that he wants you to know that. So know when you got those different...
He keeps tapping his fingers. You know? He keeps tapping his fingers. So I think he's just like, okay, shut the fuck up now. I love his expression during the whole thing. Yeah, there's very complex emotions that he's communicating right now.
And things that wasn't coincidence. That's your dad's way of letting you know that he was with you right at that exact moment. He says, I know about the way. He says that you stepped forward to try to...
They know the way.
the family together after my passing. He says, and more importantly, he says about the way...
Son, listen to me. I know their way. Don't worry about death. Their way will show us how.
He says that you were there, he says, holding everybody close. He says, and I want to thank you for that. He says, because I never got to express that to you. Wow. He says, and I want to let you know, he says, about how much that I appreciated that. He says, because I knew when I left this world, he says, that you would take care of everything.
This is so fucked, dude. I just think it's so fucked. Like, your natural reaction to hearing something like this is gonna be like crying. You're gonna be emotionally overwhelmed because you're just like, I don't know what's happening here. He's saying all these things. I didn't expect this to come out of nowhere. Yeah, the news anchor is comforting her in a way where he's just like, yo, it's okay. Like, the fact that like this dude evokes these incredibly emotional responses from people to prove his salt is what is so fucked up about this whole thing. Because like, all they have to do is be like, yo, I'm your brother. Our secret handshake when we were a kid was this. They don't have to go to like, and I know that like you care about me a lot and I want to tell you that it's okay. Like, they don't have to go to these incredibly emotional places if they were literally just trying to prove that it exists. But they know they can't prove that it exists because it doesn't exist. So instead they play psychological tricks on their people who are trusting in them, and get them to cry and incite an emotional reaction to prove that they're correct. Like, so fucking ridiculous, dude. It's so fucked.
Everything. He says, because you were always there taking care of everyone else that was around us.
Thank you so much, man.
You're
Let me
very
tell
welcome.
you this, man. I'm a believer. Now, this is so...
Oh, that's sad. That's sad. I was thinking she'd be the one to say she's a believer. Yes, it is very manipulative.
Phenomenal, and what a great experience to just experience. I'm shaking right now because it's kind of surreal, and I want to thank you, man, for giving me and giving Stephanie.
Thank you so much. You have no idea how much that meant.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
I really appreciate that. Absolutely.
See, that's the problem. That right there is the problem with platforming a piece of shit like this. That right there proves the entire problem with platforming a piece of shit like this. All right, last up. This is all I have time for tonight. We're going to do, I paid psychics to connect or contact my fake dead grandmother. I think it's a perfect way to cap off the night. Let's go.
Psychics, mediums, J-Station, what do they all have in common? They all claim that they can contact the dead. Now, I know from experience that when a loved one passes away, the grief can be
I was hoping I would like this dude, but it's just an immediate tool. Just immediate tool vibes.
unimaginable. There can be
And the podcast. Any motherfucker with a podcast just immediately tells me, like, you think you are the coolest shit. You think that you have something for everybody that everybody should be into. Like, the other day, somebody was just talking about this in stream. Like, every motherfucker who thinks they're interesting has a fucking podcast.
so many things left unsaid, and you'd give practically anything to be able to speak to them one last time. And unfortunately, psychic mediums know this too. There are hundreds of websites full of thousands of mediums who claim that they can contact your dead relatives and let you speak to them one last time for just a small fee of £2.50 a minute. Terms and conditions may apply. So, I want to put this to the test. Are these mediums really contacting the dead? How could I prove it either way? Easy. I created a fake dead man and spent 3 days over 300 quid asking psychic mediums over the phone to contact her. Would they magically be able to contact this completely made up Nan? Or would they be honest and go, oh, sorry Jack, we're not getting anything our end, mate, because, you know, she doesn't exist.
Did you know that's a real odd man out, Hyperion? The odd man out, 6 psychics predicting the fake psychic was one of the weirdest things because it was like, but there aren't real ones. Like, it blew me away. It was like we were watching people who believed they're psychic try to figure out who doesn't believe they were psychic. Like, that was the challenge, but they phrased it as 6 psychics try to out the fake psychic. I remember, I could, like, search for the VODs. You don't watch a lot of Jubilee. Yeah, this was literally a year ago. This was, like, one of the first things we did. Oh, it's right there. You see it. Yeah. Oh, it's on the screen. I didn't even notice. It's right here in the relateds. Yeah. No, we watched this last year. It's hilarious, dude. My prediction for this, by the way, my prediction for what's going to happen in this is that the psychics are going to say that there's something interfering or something getting in the way. And it reminds me, if you guys have ever seen James Randi try to disprove these people, he will get up on stage and bring these people up in a clinical test, like where there's no advantages that they have, like put their skills up on stage in front of everybody. And when they can't perform, they'll say something like, there's an interference. I can't access the spirits today. They'll say some shit like that. I think that's what's going to happen here.
The first step was to come up with a random name for my Nan, and what better place to start than, using a
Yeah,
random name
yeah.
generator. And just like that, Norma Rose was born and died, all in the space of 2.5 minutes.
Okay, I hope the rest of the video is not as cancerous when it comes to the personality. I hope it's more about the psychics than his personality.
Your card has been accepted. This reader is charged at £19.95 for 20 minutes. Hello?
That's just so sad. It's like going to the doctor in America. You're in the fucking emergency room. You got like hurt, and the first thing that they give you is a form for your health insurance. Like,
you alright, Neil?
Hello, Jane speaking. Can I help you?
Hello, Billy. How you doing, Billy? You alright? I'm just really, really desperate. Just wondering if...
Billy looks like Bill Nye.
Hello.
Doesn't he? Doesn't Billy kind of look like a chubbier Bill Nye?
How you doing, Billy? You alright? I'm just really, really desperate. Just wondering if you can contact my nan. See if you could get in contact with my deceased grandmother.
Aw, dude, I was gonna laugh, but then I just immediately felt sad, like, just imagining somebody doing this, man. Especially within this year, within the coronavirus, right? Like, and with, like, the amount of media illiteracy there is out there, and the amount of, like, QAnon people, or, like, anti-science people, like, damn, dude, this paints a really sad fucking picture for me. This is a whole industry that preys off of the vulnerability of people in their lack of an ability to find closure through more healthy means, right? If you're being observed and you know it, will you always make the same response? Oh, the double slit test. Wait, but what does that have to do with this here? I guess I'm missing the connection. I know all about the double slit test and quantum, what do they call it? Quantum uncertainty, right? But I guess I don't see how it relates. Let me know.
Depends on what the spirits are up to at the minute. They seem to be playing a bit
Depends on what the spirits are up to. They're playing some football, dude.
silly at the minute. Give me her name.
Norma Rose. You can ask her.
Oh.
The spirits are being a bit silly at the moment.
Jaack, I've just gone goosebumped all over.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no. I definitely know about the double slit experience, yeah. Or experiment, yeah.
Norma Rose. You can ask her.
Oh, Jaack, I've just gone goosebumped all over. I really have, which is kind of a validation of spirit really coming through for you.
Wait, that's hilarious. So she started with, I don't know, I'm not getting a name. And he's like, oh, her name is Norma Rose. And she's like, oh, now I get that name. Okay, dude.
Wow.
Oh my God. She has been trying to get through to you for so long.
How long has she been trying to get through to me?
4 months.
She only passed away a month ago.
This is so fucking sad, dude. This is so fucking sad. Oh, what is he gonna say? What is he gonna say?
So long.
How long has she been trying to get through to me?
4 months.
She only passed away a month ago.
This is, oh, girl, what's the answer? Oh, there's interference. I'm not quite sure.
That's bizarre.
That is strange.
Maybe she's saying 4 weeks then.
Wait, what? I misunderstood that. I love that. The signal can come through so crystal clear that we can get, reams of information about somebody within like the span of like 30 seconds, or it's fuzzy and you can hear months as weeks. Okay. In what universe, dude? Yeah, I think she said full months. Oh no, you're right. She said full weeks. You kind of checked out from this one. Yeah, I'm just going to see what this is like. I think it's a good way to end. I had this entire playlist set up for us, but we're not going to get through all this. So we'll save some of it for later. But I think this is a good one for the end of today.
Oh, sat on the end of your bed.
Oh, wow.
And she's putting her hands over her eyes and saying there's something she doesn't want to see. Are you in a relationship? She's telling me that she has to close her eyes.
She didn't mind watching when she was alive. She used to make this absolutely wonderful honeycomb on the brie. So I was just wondering if she could pass on the bloody secret recipes.
It's saying it's written down somewhere.
I've got a couple of cousins, Alfie and Zoe, and I don't
close
know
the
if
door.
Their house written down anywhere at all with it.
Zoe. She's just given me Zoe.
Wow, that's incredible. That's giving me shivers, that.
You'll kind of come across it.
Yeah, in the pantry.
But good luck with...
Yeah, I mean, I don't think... What else would prove this? I mean, I feel like this is it. This is all we need. Like, sure, maybe this is where it comes down to, like, somebody would say, okay, This lady, she's a fake psychic. The people he contacted, they're fake psychics. That's where somebody would go who believes in this shit. But it's like, again, if we grant that these inconsistencies are down to some people being real and fake, then how do we discern real from fake? It becomes this impossible task, and we get shit like this. So clearly we have to treat all of it as fake. Grab the kitties, they were swaying each other. They're getting hungry. No, they're not declawed. Declawing cats is cruel. Just so you know, if you have cats, don't do that. You can clip their claws or whatever. I don't worry about it. They get along completely swimmingly, but it's so close to their feeding time that their energy levels are interfering with what I'm doing. So I just needed to kick them out while we finish this last video so I can chill and do it. Because otherwise they would just be annoying me, like, to no end.
Your adventure with your girlfriend as well?
I'm actually gay, but...
All right. Oh, sorry. Okay, with your partner then.
Wow, what a load of bollocks.
She said she's been wanting you to contact her for 4 months.
Oh, no,
you went, she only died last month. That's weird. I liked it because she went, that.
Oh, you have a mixed pit bull? That's cool.
You to contact her for 4 months.
Oh, no,
you went, she only died last month. That's weird. I liked it because she went, that is bizarre.
Their commentary really sucks, I have to say. Like, why not talk about this in a similar angle to what I'm talking about it in? Why just laugh at these people? Because the problem is, here's the issue. You're only circle jerking when you laugh like this. Because people who believe in this shit are not going to take you seriously, right? They're not going to think you have a meaningful commentary on this. They're not going to think that you have some sort of meaningful criticism on this. They're just going to be like, this is a non-believer. I don't need to respect this, right? So you're only really reaching the audience that's going to listen to you and just kind of circle jerk around with this with you. And I don't know if that, I guess, I don't know, based on his appearance, based on his presentation, based on, I guess, the nature of like the channel in general, like it looks like this channel is kind of all around making topics or talking about things that are kind of getting viral or, you know, that are popping off right now and trending. So based around that, I don't get the sense that he's actually trying to create a meaningful critique here. He's just looking at stuff on the internet and going, or aren't they dumb? You know, like, you could have done a lot more with this, man.
Are you sure?
Right, that's weird, isn't it?
What's her name, you know?
She was called Norma Rose.
I wonder what star sign she was. You know, was she water, fire, or did... Oh.
Mate, I haven't got a clue. No, because for me, like, star signs, like, load of waffle, really.
Right. But she was quite spiritual, you know?
No, she was an atheist, actually.
Was she?
Yeah.
Unless she didn't want to admit it, I don't know, but...
Maybe you know more.
I love that they just keep having to justify it. Maybe they said something different. As soon as they can never be wrong, right? There's just, oh, I misunderstood. She just clarified that to me, right?
That went and then I do.
Was she about 5'4", 5'5" in height in that?
No, weirdly, she was actually massive.
Oh.
She was at least 6 foot.
Wow.
What's the point? What's the end to this? Because this dude makes his money, the guy who he's on the phone with. I mean, this dude makes his money through AdSense. I don't really care about that part. But, like, no one's mind is being changed. Only people who don't believe in this already are going to be convinced of this. And this doesn't change anything. Like, the psychics are still going to have these businesses up and prey on people. So who is this really for? What does this really contribute? I guess it's just, I have the opportunity to cash in on this SEO, right? Like, I wonder, I'm just curious, now that I'm learning more about YouTube and the way the tags work, I wonder if this motherfucker is the top rated video when you search I paid psychics. He is. So that's, yeah, maybe that's down to us. No, it's not. Highest view count. 11 months ago, 800K views. But okay, you see what I'm saying here, right? Like, he's going for his spot in the algorithm more than a meaningful commentary. It's very stupid.
She had pissed herself. She's with your granddad.
She pissed herself?
Mm-hmm.
Did you say she pissed herself?
No. She's with her granddad.
Yes. He's still alive.
Sorry?
He's still alive.
We can't connect you with them.
That's exactly what I'm getting at, Slam Bars, precisely. He's trying to find, like, the best positioning for his channel to get those clicks. I completely agree.
With the granddad. Yes. He's still alive. Sorry? He's still alive. We can't connect you at the moment. Oh, what a load of waffle.
You get headaches.
Yeah, like the psychic is just like, oh shit, I fucked up on this one. Hangs up. It doesn't ruin their career. We don't even know who Neil is. Like it doesn't change anything. They just keep doing their thing. You keep doing your thing. Nothing is changed at the end of the day from this.
Too regularly.
My hope in covering this topic is to talk to people who might like sympathize with these ways of thinking and speak about it reasonably enough that I can hopefully communicate to them why they should have some skepticism around it, right? And for the people who are more on my side, it is fun to look at and just be like, Jesus Christ, you know, and just have that like, what the fuck is this kind of moment with it, right? But it's not just like, all right, well, we laughed, you laughed. Okay, good night, everybody. The world sucks and nothing's going to come of it. So whatever, let's just enjoy how shitty it is. Like, that's what this content is. It's just, the world fucking sucks. Oh, well, ha 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 ha. All right, I got my money. Cool, now I'm dead.
Jane, if I'm honest.
Another way that you get your headaches is tiredness and dehydration.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
fair enough.
Now your grandmother's coming and she's got a dog with her. The dog's under her arm, but she's not that old looking.
What, the dog
Okay.
or Maate?
I think we got this one. There's literally nothing that's going to change in this. Maybe because he looks like he does some video calls. Maybe we go to the end, just give him some credit, see if he wraps this up in a meaningful way.
15, 16 psychic mediums that I called up told me that they couldn't contact my fake nan. Each and every last one of them were completely happy to keep me on the phone as long as possible, spending money that I often told them I didn't have. Now, unless...
Okay, this I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for the fact that he's framing it in this way, right?
the stars have somehow aligned and I do in fact have a dead nan that I didn't know about, who also happens to be called Norma Rose, and I think we've pretty much confirmed that those people might be a bunch of con artists. And not only are they a load of shite, I think they're super immoral. I totally understand why somebody might turn to one of these phone lines in their hour of need. But I also believe that there's got to be more effective and real ways of dealing with grief than putting money in the pockets of these scammers. So
okay, perfect, redeemed, saved, so saved, so hardcore saved. Jaack, Matt, I love you. I'm sorry I called you a tool. Keep doing this, okay?
Of course, it's completely up to you guys how you deal with your own situations. I know that grief is one of the worst things in the world, and I'm not...
But still, you might not need a podcast, my man, okay?
...telling you that there's a right or a wrong way to deal with it. Whatever helps you, helps you. I guess I'm just hoping that if you're somebody that happens to sit on the fence when it comes to this practice, then this video might have gone a little bit of the way with helping you make up your own mind.
I don't think it was speaking to somebody who's on the fence. I think it was speaking to somebody who is very lightly entertaining these ideas, right?
I will leave a load of links to grief counselling websites and helplines down below where you can find genuine people who are actually qualified to help you deal with the passing of a loved one. And of course, I'm fully expecting this video to divide an audience because it's a pretty controversial topic, and it's that reason alone that I'm
Okay. All right, we're done with this. Maybe I should do the same as him though. When I post this, he put links to help. There he goes. Yep. The UK specific help, but he gave links to help nonetheless. I think that's very good of him. This has been a very interesting dive into the realm of psychics, man. And like I said, I mean, you guys can see here. So we did this, this, and that. Everything else we didn't, oh, and this. Everything else we didn't do. So we've got this much more. And just to really show you guys the depths of this, let me go to this one here. Just really quick before we end. Jesus Christ. I don't want to do it too early he's channeling right now. So he's getting into the right meditative state so that spirits can access his body. Let's give him his space and time to do that.
Yes. Welcome, guests of honor.
Oh man. Okay, so that's what we didn't do tonight. I figured we'd go through examples that were a little bit more coherent before we just go through the batshit stuff. So for the next time, we have the batshit stuff when we go over mediums again. Okay, so our closing number tonight, I did not bookmark. I gotta find it. Where is it? Oh, I have it. Okay. Our closing number tonight is Reggae Hawaiian, Mr. Feshamon, Uncorruptable, Ron Paul. I'm going to sign out with you guys as Reggae Hawaiian, Mr. Feshamon takes us out, singing a reggae song about how uncorruptible Ron Paul is. This shit is hilarious. All right. Take it away, Reggae Hawaiian, Mr. Feshamon. I can't even say his name.
The following presentation is controversial and may be offensive to some audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
Put your hands together as I introduce the champion of the Constitution, Congressman Ron Paul. Ron Paul, 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 Uncorruptible. Uncorruptible.
In 1913, the money power of the country was taken away from the people, but it was given up in the Federal Reserve.
Figured this was perfect for Chudnalysis, like somebody singing about Ron Paul.
You try a hide and destroy a freedom. You seek agenda. We know you anti-American. You come forward American Constitution. 1913, corrupted the system. Devalue dollar.
Oh man, I hope you guys had fun tonight. I hope you enjoyed hanging out. It's nice to see we got a new friend in chat, Slam Bars. I hope you enjoyed the content, Slam Bars. We're gonna be back on Sunday. I can't do Saturday. I have friends coming up on Saturday. So Sunday is the next time I'm gonna see you guys. And I think we're just gonna be kind of continuing like the social experiment type of conversation. I don't know exactly what the conversation will be, but it'll be something similar to that, if it's not exactly that, okay? That'll be like 1 p.m. But yeah, this was fun. I think this is gonna be a nice like look into this that can serve as like a springboard to doing more of this kind of stuff, because this rabbit hole goes so fucking deep, dude. Like we really only saw the tip of the iceberg tonight. Anyways, you guys, I hope you all have a good night. I hope you don't get into too much trouble without me. Oh, what's up, Rare Flowers, joining us right at the end. We're heading out. My bad, dude. The easy, please. But yeah, I'm gonna, just so you guys know, if you don't know this already, I don't save the VODs on Twitch anymore. I upload them to YouTube. So after the stream ends, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna immediately upload it to YouTube and, you know, give it a title and stuff. So if you missed out on any of it, if you want to watch it back, that's where you're gonna find it. But yeah, I'm gonna say bye to you guys now. I'm gonna let our man, what is his name? Reggae Hawaiian, Mr. Feshamon, finish taking us out here. Oh, perfect imagery, right? But yeah, have a good night, you guys, and I'll see you next time.
Uncorruptible, Republican, Ron Paul, Texas Congressman, America defender of liberty, uncorruptible, Ron Paul, uncorruptible.
If you do not protect liberty across the board. It's a First Amendment type issue. We don't have a First Amendment so that we can talk about the weather. We have the First Amendment so we can say very controversial things. You have a right to do things that are very controversial. If not, you're going to end up with government that's going to tell us what we can eat and drink. I think the Patriot Act is unpatriotic because it undermines our liberty.
I love how the last minute is just sound bites from Ron Paul. What the fuck? This dude really fucking loved Ron Paul, man. Alright, you guys. We'll probably end off a little early as opposed to letting the song play out. I think there's like a minute left on the song. Yeah, I'm gonna fade out. See you guys soon. Have a good night, everybody. And I'll catch you on Sunday. Bye, you guys.